It is 5 a.m., and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. It's mostly clear and 50 degrees at the moment. There is some dense fog in the area, so be aware of that. We'll also get to around 62 later today. We'll have a full forecast here in just a moment. No one on board a jet airliner was injured when all of the tires on the rear landing gear blew out after the plane arrived in Atlanta. ABC's Dave Packer has more.
The LATAM Airlines flight was arriving at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport Tuesday evening. When the wheels touched the runway, 8 out of the plane's 10 tires blew out.
All tires are blown on the landing gear on the rear. The last 8. All tires under the wings seem to be blown.
And from liveatc.net, passengers exited the plane onto the tarmac and were driven to the terminal. The flight began about 7 hours earlier in Lima, Peru. Airport operations were only briefly disrupted. The FAA investigating the cause of the tire blowouts.
Nick Reiner accused of killing his parents, actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. He's due back in an L.A. courtroom to face a judge today. ABC's Alex Stone will be at the courthouse.
Nick Reiner is expected to enter a plea today. His arraignment last month, shortly after the murders of his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, was put on hold until today. He remains in custody on no bail, now represented by high-profile defense attorney Alan Jackson, who represented Karen Reed in Massachusetts, who was acquitted of murder. Reiner's history of drug abuse and his mental health have come into the spotlight following the murders of his parents, stabbed to death inside their home.
We now take a look at the market numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. They're online at beaconcm.com. For a recap of yesterday's money news, here's Michelle Frenzen.
Stocks once again reaching for new records as the bullish start to 2026 builds. The Dow added 484 points, closing at a record 49,462. The Nasdaq gained 151. The S&P grew 42 points. Amazon surged 3%, countering losses elsewhere in the market. The day's biggest gain came from SanDisk, which closed up 27%. The tech company's stock value has jumped more than 800% since spinning off from Western Digital last year. The Tuesday surge was thanks to NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, telling CES of the growing need for memory and storage. The Alaska Airlines pilot who landed the plane after a door plug blew off is suing Boeing, accusing the company of wrongly trying to blame him in past legal filings. Regulators in Britain demanding answers from Elon Musk about his AI chatbot Grok, saying it's generated sexualized images of women and children, including the Princess of Wales.
Let's take a look at the stock futures before the opening bell. The Dow's up 16, the S&P down 10 3/4, the Nasdaq down 88 1/2. That's the latest news, traffic and weather. They're next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Well, we do have a crash this morning. It's on 840 eastbound in Williamson County near the Almaville Road exit. That would be exit 47, and there's a bit of a backup there due to that crash. Also, keep in mind, dense fog in the area. We've got an advisory up until 9 o'clock this morning for the fog. Cities south of Nashville. I came up from Murfreesboro. It was pretty thick down there. Also, all the way up north to the Kentucky state line, you may run into more dense fog. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends, and welcome on in to a Wednesday, January 7th. Hope you are doing well. Holy mackerel. I got to tell you, that fog today was insane on my way in. I came in through Mount Juliet and Hermitage, and it was socked in really from where I live up in the northern area of Mount Juliet, all the way to 40, and then I got on 40 West, and it was still incredibly foggy. I don't know if it's, I don't know the visibility, 2 feet, 3 feet, whatever, but I can tell you that it was really thick where I came in, again, from northern Mount Juliet down like Nonneville Road, then going west on 70, Lebanon Pike, whatever you call it. All the way through Hermitage. It was really bad. And you went through it as well, Sam?
Yeah, coming down from the north in Robertson County, all the little crevasses between the hills and the valleys. It was pretty dense.
Yeah, same coming up from Murfreesboro, Dan, especially around the Stones River, which kind of makes sense, you know. But in my subdivision, which is near Veterans Boulevard and Highway 231, couldn't see a damn thing getting in my truck, and then as I got closer to the interstate, it got a little better.
I was driving in, and I was coming down my road from like my subdivision down onto the main thoroughfare, if you will. And it was really foggy, and there was a deer right in the darn road. Yeah. And I couldn't see it until like the very last minute. Now, luckily, I was going slower, because of the fog. So I didn't hit said deer. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Neither would the deer. But luckily, everyone is okay, including the deer.
Well, we are under a dense fog advisory till 9 a.m. this morning.
Dense fog advisory in my head as well. That's always the joke that I like to...
I told myself that joke when I was driving in. I'm like, this must be what Dan's head's like at midnight.
That's exactly right. That's what my head is like at midnight. And you're supposed to drive low beams. Is that what you're supposed to do?
That's correct. If you put the high beams on, it just reflects more light into the fog and decreases visibility.
I like to live dangerously. I'll put the LEDs on. Let that blast back into my eyes.
Do you? Okay, well, very good. Well, luckily we all made it here safely and all in one piece. I liked, by the way, Jay, and I'm not criticizing. I want you to know that I'm not criticizing.
Yes.
I like how you started your newscast with mostly clear but foggy.
Yeah.
Like, did you catch that, Sam?
Mostly clear skies above the fog. I guess I should have been.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
okay.
I guess I should have been a little more.
To Jay's credit, the weather report's just going to say mostly clear. It's not going to necessarily indicate where.
Okay, so mostly clear over the fog.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying, Jay.
Okay. Hey,
see, I would have understood it.
That's a new podcast name. Mostly clear over the fog.
There you go. Mostly clear over the fog, because I need something else to do. Okay. Hey, really sad news. Michael Reagan died. Now, he was the adopted son of Ronald Reagan. I knew him as a coworker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Would you stop it? This is a serious thing. I liked Michael Reagan. Sam.
That's why I was giving you sad violin.
I don't need sad violins. That sounds a little smart alecky when we talk about Michael Reagan dying at the age of what, 80? Was he 80?
Yeah, that's what the reports are. Wow. 80 years old.
Nicest guy ever. So when I worked many, many years ago, and I got a lot of stuff to do today, so I don't want to linger on any one thing, but when I worked with Dr. Laura, when I was her producer many, 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 many years ago, I was just a youngin' then. Her show got bought by Premier Radio, and we moved over to Premier. Michael Reagan was a talk show host for Premier Radio. And so I was really, because I've said many times, Ronald Reagan, my favorite all-time president. And so I was looking forward to meeting Michael Reagan, but I was a little nervous because I'd never met a Reagan before. And so I was very, excited yet nervous because I didn't know if, like some talk show hosts tend to be, really pompous and arrogant, and they got their heads up their butts. So I wasn't sure about meeting Michael Reagan, because here is a guy who is the son of Ronald Reagan and a very popular radio talk show host as well. And so there I was in the kitchen of Premier Radio. I think it was like the first or second day. And I'm trying to conjure up the, the guts, the courage to go introduce myself to Michael Reagan. I'm in the kitchen. I think it's like, as I said, day 1 or 2. Making a pot of coffee. Who walks into the kitchen? But Michael frickin' Reagan walks in. And you know what he says? I'll never forget this. Michael Reagan says, "Hey, Dan, I'm Michael Reagan." He knew my name. I was shocked. And I'm like, and he was the most engaging, nicest, warm, did not have his head stuck up his butt like some, famous radio talk show people. He was a good guy. And he and I would talk about his dad. Very complicated family dynamic. If anybody knows anything about the Reagans, let's just leave it at that. Very complicated family dynamic. But he was a good guy. And we'd talk politics. He'd, give me some inside, sort of perspective. He didn't tell me anything that isn't already out there. But he'd talk about, life as Ronald Reagan's adopted son and just the nicest of guys. And he treated his team very well. I got to produce his show a few times, filling in for his show when I was also working with Dr. Laura and so forth. And just a very good guy, very good guy. So he and I had not obviously spoken in many, many years, but sad to see that he is dead. But what an incredible life that he had, the son of Ronald Reagan, and also very successful talk show host in his own right, and a very, very good human being at that. So Michael Reagan dead at the age of, you said 80 years old?
Yeah, that's the reporting.
Of cancer, right?
Yeah, not seeing the cause, but the age is correct.
Well, he's 80. All right, very good. Well, thank you, Jay. And we'll continue to mourn the loss of Michael Reagan. The super text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. I thought it was interesting. Yesterday, we had the audio, and I'm gonna play it again just to remind you folks of the conversation between Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller, Trump policy advisor Stephen Miller, because Tapper was trying to get Miller to rule out any kind of military action to take over Greenland. Remember that whole thing? I'm going to play that audio coming back. As you probably now know, there is a big update to that story. I'm a little shocked, but then again, I'm not sure why I would be shocked, knowing what I know about the Trump administration. Details straight ahead, 5:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Yes, we are still dealing with a crash down in Williamson County. They are actually closing down. We're getting reports now. I-840 eastbound at the Almaville Road exit. That's exit 47. The interstate there shut down eastbound while they try to clear some stuff out. We've also got an injury crash in Antioch, Cane Ridge Road, just north of Marchwood Boulevard, and perhaps the dense fog contributing to these early, unusual traffic problems this time of morning. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Go ahead, Sam. Do your little joke that you said to me in my headphones. You had an accident in Almaville?
On Almaville Road.
Things must not be so... I don't know where I was going with that. Why would you? Why would you do that?
You know
to
what?
me?
Because you said it to me. Things must not be Almaville right.
Alma right.
Alma right in Alma. Yeah, that's really dumb. I just want to let you know.
Yeah, that was dumb.
It was dumb.
That
Sam.
was dumb.
Listen,
Brought to you by a SNL skit of Omeleteville.
Oh, is that what it is?
Bring it on into Almaville.
All right, moving right along. It is 5:15.
You opened that door.
Nashville. You opened the door by telling me a dumb joke on my headphones because you know what's going to happen? I'm going to repeat it on the air. I'm like Anchorman, right? You say something in my headphones, I'm going to say it right on the air. Go blank yourselves, San Diego. Remember that whole thing? Moving right along.
That's a nasty one. That's nasty.
All right, 5:16, Nashville's Morning News. All right, so this is really interesting. The Trump administration is now coming out and saying, yeah, you know what? Nothing is off the table in us trying to acquire Greenland, including use of the U.S. military. Now, this was Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller just a couple of days ago. This was on Sunday, or was it Monday? Whenever it was, this is Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller.
It has been the formal position of the U.S. government since the beginning of this administration, frankly, going back into the previous Trump administration, that Greenland should be part of the United States. The president has been very clear about that. That is the formal position of the U.S. government.
Right, but can you say that military action against Greenland is off the table?
It wouldn't be military action against Greenland. The Greenland has a population of 30,000 people, Jake. The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of their territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony of Denmark? The United States is the power of NATO. For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States.
I mean, see, I get that. When we were airing this audio yesterday, Jake Tapper has such a perplexed look on his face. It's so funny. But, you know, when Stephen Miller put it in that sense about NATO and United States being the driving force behind NATO, why should we not have Greenland as part of the United States? And Tapper, I mean, he was trying to pin down the use of military force to literally take Greenland from Denmark. And yesterday I went through, I mean, it goes all the way back to the 1700s, why Greenland is part of Denmark. I don't want to go all the way back into that. But I think the United States and Trump is really answering Jake Tapper here and answering this back and forth between Miller and Jake Tapper, because, you know, Tapper was trying to really frame it as, okay, so will you rule out use of the military? And Miller was like, that's just a stupid and ridiculous question.
And so that's a conversation that we're going to have as a country. That's a process we're going to have as a community of nations.
So you can't take it off the table that the U.S. would use military force to seize Greenland. You can't take it off the table.
Jake, I understand you're trying very hard.
Yeah.
Which again is your job. I respect it. It's great to get exactly the headline, right? That catchy headline.
I'm trying to get an answer to the question.
That says Miller refuses to rule out the United States should have Greenland as part of the United States.
All right. So I think the Trump administration said, you know what, we're just going to throw it out there. Absolutely. We include the potential use of the U.S. military in trying to obtain Greenland. So, yeah, hey, Jake Tapper, we're willing to use the military if we have to. I was a little surprised initially by that, but then I thought, why in the world am I surprised? This is the Trump administration. They'll say and do anything because everything is, you know, as we talked about yesterday, 3D, 4D chess. The White House saying on Tuesday that President Donald Trump is discussing options for acquiring Greenland, including potential use of the U.S. military in a revival of his ambition to control the strategic island despite European objections. Number one, who gives a crap about what Europe thinks? That is my bottom line. I have had it up to here with Europe. Give a rat's arse about what they think. Who gives a you know what? Trump sees acquiring Greenland as a U.S. national security priority necessary to deter our adversaries in the Arctic region, the White House said in a statement. Listen, you've got Russia and China both swirling around Greenland. And so Trump is like, you know what? If there's a possibility that China or Russia are going to try to do something to take over Greenland, or China's going to try to weasel their way into Greenland like they've done with Venezuela and other nations across the country, then we need to stop that right away. We need to stop that immediately. And so, yeah, the White House said the president and his team are discussing a range of options to pursue this important foreign policy goal. And of course, utilizing the U.S. military is always an option at the commander-in-chief's disposal. Hey, Sam, could we do a Daily Dan poll on YouTube? Would you approve of the Trump administration using the military to, what would the word be, Jay? What would the word be? Take over Greenland? What would it be?
Yeah.
Take over Greenland? Acquiring. Let's use the term acquiring Greenland.
Yeah, perhaps.
Broader stroke, would you approve of military involvement in Greenland?
No. It's got to be, it's not involvement. It's using the military to acquire Greenland.
Okay.
Hey, Jay, did you hear that? Did you hear what he?
Yep. Okay.
He said, okay.
All right.
All right.
Yep. Okay.
Whatever you say, boss. Yep. I heard that dismissive.
I know. He was a little snippy
He
there,
was
Dan.
a little. That's fine. You know what? Trust me. I've been doing this, Jay, for, 30 years? If there's one thing I'm used to, it's snippy producers.
Well, speaking of snippy, the whole tone of Tapper and Miller, I've got that audio of him just wrapping up the Maduro situation in Venezuela, if you want that real quick.
Yeah, go. You have that?
I've got it.
See,
yeah.
this is why. So, Sam, you're allowed to be snippy because you're really good. So we accept Sam's snippiness because you're really good at your job, and you're also really smart. Go ahead.
It's not what I think, but you invaded the country. We went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
And I'm saying,
Damn straight we did.
That's the attitude when it comes to protecting this nation's interests.
We got to clip damn straight.
Yeah.
We got to clip damn straight. So then every time one of us makes like a really good point, you just drop in that damn straight.
Just the fact that it's coming from Stephen Miller.
Well,
of all people to drop that, he doesn't have the most masculine voice.
Listen, I'm not one to talk about masculine voices, certainly, but there was a time when not that it matters, but there was a time I was surprised that Stephen Miller was married. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got a very effeminate way of speaking. And that's fine.
Thought those loafers looked a little light.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But when he gets excited, he just
pitches up a little bit more.
He gets a little bit more. But he has actually turned into, and obviously I've known of Stephen Miller for years now, and he is one of my favorite Trump cabinet. Is he part of the cabinet? He's policy advisor. So
Yeah.
it sounds like a cabinet position. But no, that's not a cabinet position. Policy advisor? No. All right. Since Sam has to look it up, I know that it's not a dumb question. Jay, do you know?
I
good.
don't know the official title offhand, no.
All right, good. So anyway, but he is a very important
Homeland Security Advisor.
What is he?
The Homeland
Security Advisor. All right, very good. Whatever. He's really good, and he has turned out to be one of my favorites within the Trump administration. You got Tom Homan. You got Stephen Miller. Obviously, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio as well. I got to tell you, I have been so incredibly impressed with Donald Trump's team.
People have already turned that into a meme, by the way.
What's that?
Stephen Miller's damn straight, dropping the chain
have
and
they?
the sunglasses and a backwards hat on him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I think the one weak link, say it with me, Pam Bondi.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, somebody asked me the question the other day. I'm running late. Somebody asked me the question the other day. If I thought Matt Gaetz would have done a better job than Pam Bondi. Remember Matt Gaetz was first
Yeah.
in Trump's search for an attorney general. And I think Matt Gaetz, hindsight is always 20/20. He has a lot of baggage, and there's a lot of things about Matt Gaetz that are sus. I'm just going to say. So, but I think as far as a really tough and aggressive attorney general, yeah, put all the baggage aside, I think Matt Gaetz would have been a firebrand of an attorney general.
I don't think he would have screwed up the Letitia James and
no. I
prosecutions.
think he was. Okay, Stephen Miller is White House Deputy Chief of Staff. He's actually on CNN right now, White House Deputy Chief of Staff. So I think maybe he's one of these guys that has multiple titles. But anyway, bottom line is, I think Matt Gaetz would have been fire as far as an attorney general. Would he have done better than Pam Bondi? I don't know. It is 5:25. Nashville's Morning News. Jay has the news coming up at 5:30. Jay, what do you got?
Yes, sir. We'll have more on Trump's plan for Venezuela. And as you've been discussing, Dan, is the U.S. really serious in its plans for Greenland? We'll have those stories coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up on 5:31, I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll get to your weather forecast. There is dense fog out there, but it's mostly clear above the fog. So we are also looking at 53 degrees at the moment. We've got new details now about President Trump's plan for Venezuela and its interim president, Delcy Rodriguez. ABC's Lionel Moyes has the latest.
Sources say the U.S. is demanding Venezuela cut economic ties with Russia, China, and Iran and partner exclusively with the U.S. on oil production. President Trump already announcing Venezuela will turn over 30 to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil. Trump saying that money will be controlled to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States.
The White House and the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, said Tuesday that President Trump and his advisors are discussing a range of options to acquire Greenland. Leavitt added, quote, utilizing the U.S. military is always an option, unquote. ABC's James Longman has the reaction from Europe.
The Danish Prime Minister is taking this seriously. She said we've got to take Donald Trump seriously and at his word when he says we want to take Greenland. She said the U.S. has no right to annex Greenland. The European leaders have been very nervous to criticize directly the Maduro operation, but they haven't been holding back over Greenland. And these European leaders are clearly not heartened to hear Caroline Leavitt at the White House saying that military action is still a possibility.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, Austin Peay State University has reinstated a tenured theater professor who was fired last fall after resharing a social media post following the assassination of political activist Charlie Kirk, acknowledging the university did not follow required termination procedures. University officials confirmed to Fox 17 News that Professor Darren Michael returned to his faculty position effective December 30th of last year following a settlement agreement with the school. The professor was dismissed after the university said he reshared a social media post that was, quote, insensitive and disrespectful and interpreted by many as justifying unlawful death following Kirk's assassination. Let's take a look at the stock futures before the opening bell. The Dow's up 27, the S&P's down 8, the Nasdaq down 75. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather up next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Down in Williamson County, still dealing with this crash, 840 eastbound near the Almaville Road exit. That would be exit 47. The interstate closed there. They have shut things down on both sides, both east and westbound. You've got vehicles in the median. First responders are blocking both sides of the interstate there. So problems again on I-840 near exit 47. We've also got a couple of injury crashes downtown. Let's see, Korean Veterans Boulevard at 6th Avenue South. And there's another one here. I think that's actually the same crash that they've put here twice. But anyway, also an injury accident, Cane Ridge Road, just north of Marchwood Boulevard. Perhaps we can attribute all this to the dense fog that is in the area. That's the latest traffic. We've got it every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:38, Nashville's Morning News. All right, so I figured it out. Stephen Miller's official title is Deputy White House Chief of Staff for Policy. So, Jay, you and I were like both right. Because I knew that he was like a policy advisor, whatever. He also serves as the Homeland Security Advisor in the current administration. By the way, you know what's so funny, Sam, is you were the one that brought up Stephen Miller's rather, effeminate voice. There's nothing wrong with that. 4702 says, well, Dan, I thought the same thing about you.
You knew that was coming.
Oh, of course I knew it was coming.
Yeah, but you're more of the soprano. He can go more falsetto.
I don't even know what that means.
Falsetto's higher.
Oh.
Yeah.
He can go higher. He can definitely go higher. I can't go lower, though. That's one of my big issues.
Down here.
Yeah. Do you remember David Gates, the guy that sang lead singer for the group Bread many, many years ago?
No.
The Stylistics were a group back in the 70s. Anyway, those guys sang in falsetto. Frankie Valli sang in falsetto.
Do you know who had the great lower voice? Barry White.
Yeah, baby.
I actually, because Amy, she's younger, so she hasn't necessarily heard Barry White, so I played some for her. This is what it's like to be married to me, okay? So me, Amy, and Riker are going to breakfast. This was on, I don't know, Sunday morning, I think it was. And for whatever reason, I'm all of a sudden I have to hear some Barry White. And Amy's like, who? I said, Barry White. He's like a great singer. And so then I start doing the whole Barry White thing where you're my first, you're my last, you're my everything.
Everything. Mm-hmm.
And how he comes in and he says something like, we really got it going, baby. Right? that whole thing. Yeah, Barry White. What is the song where he goes, he like talks through an intro? You must know this, Jay.
Oh, gosh.
Where he talks... I
know, yeah, but with that playing in my ear.
Look up, you're my first, you're my last, you're my everything. Because I started doing that to Amy on the drive to breakfast on Sunday morning. Riker said, can you please stop? He's 12, Riker is now 12, so he understands what Creepy Dan is like.
Yes.
And he'll tell Creepy Dan to stop. But you know what? I find, just so we're all clear,
Yeah,
I started doing this to Amy. She was like, oh, Lord.
Please stop. I was in Vegas once and ran into Barry White on the elevator.
Did he say this?
Almost.
I love the bass in this, too, by the way. See, he sounds so much better doing this than I do. I understand why I sounded creepy to Amy when I was doing this to her.
Well, it's because he was Barry White.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it was cool, man. I recognized the guy. And I'm like, hey, how are you? And he goes, hey, man, doing all right. Did his thing, with the low voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great singer. And
the Love Unlimited Orchestra.
Amy didn't really seem to appreciate Barry White as much as I did. To me, Barry White is like Doritos. I can only do it like once a year. Like Doritos and Barry White. I can only stand either one once a year. Hey, moving on. Hey, did you hear that Donald Trump, he has now been challenged to a cognitive test by Gavin Newsom? So Trump was on a roll. I think Chris played some of this stuff yesterday. But he was speaking to the Republicans, and this is what he said about Gavin Newsom.
We should give everybody, like, these competency tests, right? The cognitive, they call it cognitive. You know, I'm the only president that went for cognitives. I think every president and vice president should be forced to take cognitive exams, mental tests, like, are they intelligent? Wouldn't it be nice? Do you think Walz could pass a cognitive test, as an example? Do you think Kamala could? I don't think Gavin could. He's got a good line of crap, but other than that, he couldn't pass.
Oh, my gosh. I love that. Gavin Newsom has a good line of crap. That is true. If there is one thing that personifies Gavin Newsom, it is that line of crap comment that Donald Trump, I've got actually a whole bunch of good lines of crap from Gavin Newsom coming up later on in the show, where he's hammering Donald Trump on everything. And one of the things that I have noticed is that he rolls with all of these insults, and he's got all of these things that he says, and it's like rapid fire, and it's hard to keep up. But the reality is, as Donald Trump just said, Gavin Newsom has a good line of crap, but when you really actually start looking at the policies of Gavin Newsom and his performance in California, his good line of crap is really a bad performance for the state of California. But Donald Trump continues.
I mean, here's a guy who didn't want to have water coming down from the Pacific Northwest. Why? You know, they have a little tiny fish, this big, it's a little tiny fish, not doing well. You know why? No water. They're sending water. It's too much. It's killing the fish, so they cut it off. And then they have 25,000 houses burned down. They don't know why. No, I think, I believe in it. I'm the only one that took a cognitive test.
All right, so Gavin Newsom now, challenge accepted. He heard that, and now this is from the San Francisco Chronicle. On Tuesday, President Trump telling a room full of Republicans that California Governor Gavin Newsom could not pass a cognitive test. So Newsom, of course, responds, let's do it. Name your time and place. Now, one of the things that I'm going to talk about later on, because there's a lot of news going on, is that the reason why Gavin Newsom has seen a rebound in California as far as his polling goes is because all he's doing is spewing his good line of crap about Donald Trump. And so Newsom, at least right now, he doesn't necessarily have to answer for all of the terrible things that he's done in California, because all he has to do to raise his profile and let his polling go up is bash Donald Trump. That's all he's doing. That's all he has to do. San Francisco Chronicle, the latest installment in Newsom and Trump's longtime social media feud. Newsom's threat comes as questions swirl around Trump's own cognitive fitness. Is there, Jay and Sam, is there questions about Donald Trump's cognitive fitness? Who's asking those questions?
Not cognitive, but
he's tired. He's got to get more sleep. He's got to eat better. But cognitively,
he takes too much aspirin.
Yeah, he does. From what I understand, he does take
because he's
too much
shaking
aspirin.
too many hands, making too many deals. They're swollen. They're tired.
Yeah, I don't think there's questions about Trump's cognitive fitness. The Democrats will always talk about that because that's what they do. And by the way, they have, I mean, this is obvious, but they have no credibility. It's such an easy criticism to fend off because the Democrats had no questions when it came to Joe Biden. So shut the hell up about Donald Trump. I mean, you see how easy that is?
And Joan Shingang, I'm going to pronounce right, Shanga Kawawa.
See, that's why Joan just had to change her name to Joan Jones, because nobody could say her last name.
I'm just going to start calling her Kawawa.
Joan Kawawa. Let's see here. Trump has always insisted that he is very healthy. He stoked speculation when he was withholding concerning information about his health when he said he had a preventative MRI scan, an intensive type of imaging not used as a routine screening tool in healthy adults unless they have certain genetic conditions. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal last week, he backtracked and said it was actually a CT scan, a less intensive type of imaging, without giving details. You know what I would say to this? I would say whatever. Donald Trump withstands the scrutiny of questions from the White House press corps and from the media. There's not an interview that he won't do. There's not a question that he won't answer. And one of the things that I noticed when he went in to get Maduro is that he did sound tired during the initial press conference. But then when the media started asking him questions, he was absolutely laser focused, and there was no sign of any cognitive issues at all.
And he doesn't drink coffee.
He doesn't drink coffee?
Yeah, or alcohol.
He's like I know he doesn't drink alcohol. I think, isn't he like a Dr. Pepper in the morning kind of guy?
Maybe a Diet Coke.
Diet Coke, maybe. Yeah, maybe a Diet Coke kind of guy in the morning. So, I just, man is 79 years old. But it does seem to me like he's doing fine. By the way, a lot of people, so the Democrats, and honestly, as I just said, they have zero credibility when it comes to recognizing cognitive issues. They may have recognized Joe Biden's cognitive issues, but they certainly refuse to say anything.
Bingo.
The other thing that President Trump said, and I thought this was funny. One of the other things that President Trump did was he talked about, I don't think I have time to do it now. Maybe we'll do it at the 8:35. But one of the things that President Trump did was he started talking about trans athletes.
You got time.
I don't think I do. I actually.
Oh, you want to include full context for people and give them.
Yeah, I want to be able to give it as much time as I possibly can. So what we're going to do, take a break right now. We'll return next. It is 5:50. Jay's got the news coming up at 6. Jay.
Yes, sir, Dan. We'll get into the latest on the U.S.'s intentions with Greenland. Also, the latest on the trial of a former Uvalde, Texas law enforcement officer. We'll get those stories to you at the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:53, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So 1607 says this, hey, Dan, you have the voice of a pre-adolescent boy. I knew this was coming. I knew that the second, and Jay, you brought me into this, or was it Sam? One of the two of you brought me into making fun of Stephen Miller's voice, but you guys started it.
No, don't say you guys.
I mean, you two, the two of you led me down this path, and now I am being made fun of incessantly in the on the super text line, which, by the way, is 615-737-9986.
I'm being made fun of, and here's the way to continue making fun of me.
That's exactly right. All right, real quick, because it turns out we do have the time to play this audio. This is Donald Trump, and there's no other way to say it. And by the way, if you watch us on YouTube, I've got all the video for this. But Donald Trump is making fun of, they say, mocking trans athletes. He first starts talking about a weightlifter who, pretending to be a woman, but he's a man, and he went into apparently the women's weightlifting competition.
It's the dancing they really like. She said they don't like it, they're just being nice to you. I said, that's not right. The place goes crazy. They're screaming, dance, please. But the weightlifting, but no, the girl gets up. And you see, I want to be more, but I have somebody watching. I want to be more effusive. I want to really,
Oh, he's in rare form
when
yesterday.
She gets it, and drops the thing, walks off the stage crying. Her mother's crying, her father's crying. Guy gets up.
Yep.
He said, have you lifted before? A little bit. And he walks up, bing. He could have gone ding, 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 ding. I think it was 112 pounds, right?
Yeah, guy comes in. So the woman, the biological woman has to, really work hard to lift the weights. Dude comes in pretending to be a woman, and he does it no problem. When have we seen this before? Obviously.
It's crazy. Or the beautiful boxer. They have boxing now. And that they have a young gentleman who transitioned.
But listen to this. I don't know if I find this funny or not, but when Trump says it, it's hysterical.
He was a very good boxer, but he wanted to be a woman, which is, to each his own. Because I want to be very liberal when it comes to these subjects. I'm trying to get that vote. It's not an easy vote to get. It's very tough for me to get it. But he transitioned, and he transitioned. And the girl was a champion boxer from Italy, remember? She got up, first round. He hit her, boom, with a left. A left, for those, everybody here knows about. But a left, Lisa knows better than anybody. But a left is defense. He goes, boom. She's like, oh my God.
His arms are flailing. It is reminiscent of when people say he made fun of that reporter who was what was wrong with that reporter? I don't even remember what the issue was with the reporter, but you've no doubt seen it where he was making fun of that reporter, and he's kind of doing the same kind of thing for this woman that was hit by a biological man in a boxing match.
She walked to the corner, remember? She didn't go down, but she did everything else. But she said, I've never been hit like that before. I don't want to go out again. You can do it. You can do it. Bang. She walked off. She said, he happened to win the gold medal.
No, he didn't win the gold medal, did he? Of course he did.
Young woman. He won the gold medal. There were two transition people. They both won gold medals. The whole thing is ridiculous. You have policy on your side. They don't have policy on your side. Right? You have policy.
Yep. So that is Donald Trump talking to the Republicans. And on a more serious note, apparently Trump, and I got to look this up because I did not hear this, but I heard the Red-Eye guys talking about it. But apparently President Trump told the Republicans they've got to be more flexible in talking about health care and trying to get a deal done on health care. That the president told the Republicans that they need to be more flexible on the Hyde Amendment. Now, if you don't know what the Hyde Amendment is, basically no taxpayer dollars going towards abortions. And the president is telling the Republicans apparently that they've got to be more flexible on that. And I got to tell you that for a lot of these folks on the right, a lot of Republicans, that's a deal breaker. That is a deal breaker. And I know that Donald Trump is a very pragmatic politician. He's a deal maker and all these kinds of things. But for Republicans, you want to be primaried as a Republican? You go ahead and you become flexible on the Hyde Amendment and watch how quickly you are primaried. You might as well just, hand the House of Representatives over to the Democrats. If you have a bunch of Republicans saying, oh, yeah, we'll go ahead and be flexible on the Hyde Amendment. Are you kidding me? This is something the Republicans, including, by the way, yours truly, feels very strongly about. So my official talk show host position on that is, in absolutely no way, shape, or form should any Republican ever be flexible on the Hyde Amendment. Absolutely not. Donald Trump was wrong to tell the Republicans that they need to be flexible on the Hyde Amendment. Got a lot more straight ahead. Nashville's Morning News on WTN.
It is straight up 6 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got some traffic issues. We'll get to that here momentarily. We'll also get to your weather forecast. A dense fog advisory is currently in effect and will be till 9 a.m. this morning. Following the use of the U.S. military in Venezuela, the Trump administration says the military could be used again, this time in Greenland. The semi-autonomous island is overseen by Denmark, a NATO ally. Denmark's prime minister said an attack on Greenland would be the end of the Western alliance. Speaking to ABC News, former U.S. ambassador to Denmark, Rufus Gifford, said there's no reason for the U.S. to threaten Greenland.
The Greenlanders and the Danes would welcome further American military investment in Greenland. We used to have 12 bases in Greenland. We have scaled them back since World War II and even more so after the Cold War.
Back here in the U.S., nearly 4 years after 19 children and 2 teachers were killed at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, the trial of a former school police officer is now underway. Adrian Gonzalez faces 29 counts of child endangerment. Prosecutors say he neglected his duty to protect kids during the chaotic response to the shooting. ABC's Hannah Battah reports.
Teacher Stephanie Hale testified her students ran from the playground to the school building to find shelter and armed themselves with scissors.
Do what we had to do, defend, keep quiet, wait until somebody came to get us.
But the defense says Hale's account of where she saw the shooter changed from her earlier statements, a key detail in this case which they say was not disclosed to them in advance. Now the judge is considering a possible mistrial.
Let's get to the market numbers report. It's brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. They're online at beaconcm.com. With this morning's money news, here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
A week into the new year, the major stock averages are setting new records. Gains for AI chip makers and drug companies pushed the Dow up 484 points yesterday to an all-time high close at 49,462. The Nasdaq and S&P each added more than 0.6%. Saber rattling may become check writing. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has told congressional lawmakers that President Trump intends not to invade Greenland, but to buy it. Neither Rubio nor Trump has offered details. A week after legendary investor Warren Buffett stepped down, the new CEO at Berkshire Hathaway is getting a raise. Greg Abel was previously a vice chair at the company. Moving into the corner office will get him $25 million a year. You're likely to find an order form in the office break room or a tween standing on your doorstep. Girl Scout cookies have gone on sale for another season. The newest, called the Explore More, is inspired by Rocky Road ice cream.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the stock futures. The Dow's up 18, the S&P down 7, the Nasdaq down 63. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Selling your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
Still dealing with this serious issue, Interstate 840 eastbound between Almaville Road and Veterans Parkway. That would be exits 47 and 50. It is closed down still. We've got an overturned vehicle there. It's affecting traffic in both directions. The crash just past the Almaville Road overpass. You may want to think about taking Highway 96, which is Franklin Road. Even though that is kind of backed up as folks are trying to avoid the issue on 840. We've also got the right lane block, 40 eastbound before exit 196 there in Bellevue. There's a crash there, an injury wreck on Hobson Pike and Murfreesboro Road. And downtown, another injury crash, Korean vets at 6th Avenue South. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.607 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and appreciate your listening. And it is Wednesday, January 7th. Got a lot of news going on. Marco Rubio, sources say, is out there talking about how the president wants to buy Greenland. Also in the news, we covered this extensively in the 5 o'clock hour. President Trump and the White House putting out a statement saying everything is on the table as far as his want to acquire Greenland, including the possibility of using military action. We do have some problems in Venezuela. You've got some Maduro supporting gangs. I guess they're members of the military that are apparently hunting down Trump supporters. So that is something that we are watching as well. And there is just a lot of news this morning. We continue to cover it for you here on Nashville's Morning News. So Tim Walz, there is a lot of calls now for the Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to resign. Wait till you hear what he said. He held a press conference, and oh my Lord, this guy is deflecting all over the place. The Minnesota governor, in rare form, he went to war with Donald Trump and the Republicans. As you know, we reported this yesterday, that Tim Walz has now dropped out of the re-election race. So he is now solely focused. This is what Tim Walz is focused on. Solely focused on distraction and deceit and the Republicans. Listen to this again, Tim Walz yesterday.
And right now, they are hiding behind a veil of innuendo. They're protecting the biggest fraudster in the White House. They are unwilling to acknowledge that January 6th was an insurrection. They're unwilling to stand with Melissa Hortman's children. And I want to tell you this, for those legislators who went and shed crocodile tears at her funeral, shame on you.
Shame on you. What a Richard. Oh, my, I can't believe
nobody had anything bad to say about Melissa Hortman from the right.
But that's what he's trying to do, is he's trying to cast a wide net over Republicans. And that's why I said that what he is trying to do is he's trying to deceive and distract. And he's going after Donald Trump. He's going after all the Republicans. And part of what he is out there saying is the Republicans are saying that all brown people are trying to steal. That's another thing that he's saying. I've got that audio for you coming up as well. But I mean, I had when I heard this audio yesterday, I was sitting on the couch and it was like I started yelling at the TV like an old man. That's what Tim Walz does to me now.
So just yelling at the TV.
Yes.
Shame on you. Her children are asking you to do one thing in her name. It's to tell the president to stop doing this. That shouldn't be that difficult.
So, and here's what he's talking about. First of all, again, he is clearly trying to deflect by bringing up January 6th, right? Here's the deal with that. Just stop it. That's getting to be on par with being called a racist in my world. Nobody cares about January 6th at this point except the media. It is clear that as far as January 6th goes, that whole ugly episode is over. Now, we'll never forget what the Democrats did, locking up all of those J6ers in that reprehensible prison for far too long. But ultimately, when the Democrats bring it up, in the context that Tim Walz is trying to bring it up, he's just trying to distract and deflect from his own failures and his own corruption. I mean, by invoking that date, and this is what the Democrats are always going to do, they're going to desperately try to focus elsewhere and not on his own corruption. By the way, he did also mention Donald Trump standing with the children of Melissa Horton. She's, of course, remember, the Minnesota House Speaker. She was murdered, a Democrat there in Minnesota. Donald Trump, here's what he means. Donald Trump shared a video that apparently tried to connect Walz to her murder. The family is asking that he take it down and apologize. And so you do have people that are trying to connect the governor to the murder and the Somali scandal. And here's the deal, and I talked about this yesterday. I'm willing to listen to anything, but at this point, I'm not buying it. I'm not saying that Walz is connected to her murder. What I'm not willing to say is that this wasn't somehow connected to the Somali fraud. That's not what I'm willing to say. I don't know what happened. But the theory on the video is that the killer went after Horton after she voted to take away health care benefits from illegal aliens. She knew that it was controversial. We talked about that. She did it anyway. The suspect wrote a note sending it to the FBI saying that Walz told him to do it. Now, I'm just telling you, I don't buy it. But as I said, my mind is always open. But remember, this guy was also someone who Walz had appointed to a governor's board, but that doesn't mean anything. The video in question says that the guy who allegedly shot Melissa Horton and her husband, killing them, they're saying that the guy was a longtime aide to Governor Walz. He wasn't. He was simply appointed to a governor's board. So, whatever on that note. But, if we get more information on that, and I know that the super text line is going to be saying, Dan, don't you know, don't you know, don't you know? This guy on Twitter said this. This guy on TikTok said this. This dude on Instagram has the receipts. Okay. I watched a bunch of videos, and so far, I'm not ready to say that Governor Tim Walz ordered a hit on Melissa Hortman. I'm just not ready to do that. If we get more info, I'll change my mind. But realize that anybody can put out anything online for clicks. So putting all that aside, yesterday what Walz did, he kept going after Republicans.
So look, for Republicans here, I have more energy than I've ever had. I am committed to this state more than I've ever been. I love this state with every fiber of my being. I believe we are the best state. Have I been perfect in this? God dang no.
No. That might be the most underestimated thing he's ever said. Clearly.
He hasn't even been good.
No. He hasn't even... Dude hasn't even been, adequate. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't even gotten a C. Like in high school, you got a C, you're average.
Do you remember how they used to score PE? It was satisfactory.
Yeah.
E for excellence.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting a non-committal.
Well, he's getting a C, not for average, but for corrupt.
I wasn't perfect as a teacher. I wasn't perfect as a coach. I wasn't perfect as a soldier, but I was pretty damn good at all those things.
It's kind of funny, though, when he brings up the soldiers thing. Remember that whole stolen valor controversy? It's interesting that he would actually bother to bring that up. I got more from Tim Walz. He said something that just blew my mind. It is coming up. It is 6:15, though. We got big problems out on the roadway. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Pretty damn good at my job in the military, even though I can't load a basic shotgun.
In Bellevue, 40 eastbound before Bellevue, accident in the right lane. I'm Christy O'Brien.
As far as your weather goes, all three of us actually encountered the fog on our way in. So it's going to be foggy this morning, mostly sunny eventually with a high of 66. We've got Tim Walz out there attacking Republicans because I guess he obviously feels like the best defense is a good offense. But at least to me, it's just not. It's not working. It's clearly not. Everybody knows, including people in his own party, that he has been caught. Asleep at the wheel is not even what I'm going to say. Other people are saying, Trump said that Tim Walz was asleep at the wheel. I don't think he was asleep at the wheel. I think that he was wide-eyed and he knew everything that was going on in Somali Soda. He stood by, watched it happen, and shut down the whistleblowers.
And I am committed to getting this right. And I will tell you what, if they think now, I mean, game's over for them now. It was all me, I was the bad guy or whatever. Well, put up or shut up now and tell us what you're going to do to make this state better. Answer these tough questions. Quit hiding behind this and expect for the next 11 months for me to ride you like you've never been ridden.
No, thank you. So that is Tim Walz, and he's basically telling the Republicans they've got to put up or shut up. There's a big hearing that's going to, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on, but there's a big hearing today in Washington where they are going to be talking about, it's like an initial hearing, and they've got 3 Minnesota lawmakers, 3 Republicans that are going to this hearing. They're going to be testifying in front of James Comer and the House Oversight Committee. And really what they're doing is they are ramping up for when Tim Walz and Keith Ellison will be going to testify under oath in February. So I think that Tim Walz, he's going to be in big trouble. And he's talking tough. He's got a, kind of like Gavin Newsom, he's got a long line of BS. But I don't know about you, but I'm not buying it.
Republicans want to tell you everybody with brown skin is stealing money or that they're not welcome here. They want to do nothing to improve this state. Their idea of improving this state is being a parrot for Donald Trump, agreeing to everything that he agreed with. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. It ain't happening. I'm not going anywhere. And you can make all your requests for me to resign over my dead body. Will that happen? I will fight this thing till the very end to make this state better. And the question that I think they need to decide is when did the guy in the White House resign?
That was the line. That was the line that had the old man screaming at the TV and, wanting to, throw something at it is, him saying, when are you going to ask the guy in the White House to resign? Are you kidding me? I mean, I think those lines and that line works for the people that buy his complete load of crap. But the reality is that he is under the gun, and he knows that he's under the gun with all of this Somali fraud that he allowed to happen in Minnesota. And otherwise, he wouldn't have dropped out of the race. He wouldn't have dropped out of of his reelection bid for a third term as governor. So, and by the way, they hoped that this whole thing would die with Tim Walz dropping out of the race. He didn't resign. People are calling for him to resign. But they were hoping that this would, put this whole thing to bed. Not even close. Not even close. I think that Ilhan Omar is culpable here. I think that Keith Ellison is as well. And the Trump administration, They're going in there and they're going to find the actual people that have not already been indicted, and they're going to either be deported, they're going to have their naturalization taken away, they're going to be deported, or they're going to be jailed, as they should be.
And the question that I think they need to decide is when did the guy in the White House resign? When does he take accountability for what he did? Because it isn't going to happen here in terms of us shying away from making the state better. So you'll get to see me more. The good news is on this is that I got no election to look forward to. I've been in front of you. I'll call on who I want to call on, and I'll watch what the press gets written, and we'll make sure that in this state there's full accountability for everybody. Because buck stops with me. I'm accountable for this.
You know, the best part of that whole thing is when he says that, you know, we're going to be seeing a lot more of him. That's great for show prep. I mean, I'm just going to say that's great for show prep.
But the audacity of him to essentially say he's going to control everything while he's on the way out of the office. That's what he was aiming at. That's what he wants, is to be able to control the narrative, make sure no one can overturn the one note that's got all the dirty details on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also going to appear to run away from it all as soon as I can.
Here's the deal. You know, my takeaway from all of that is that Democrats, they always do this when they're not able to defend what they do, right? They cry racism. Well, here we are.
Republicans want to tell you everybody with brown skin is stealing money.
Yeah. I mean, that Tim Walz, that is what he's doing. He's accusing Republicans. Anybody with brown skin is out there stealing money. Has there been one Republican that has said that?
No.
No. There's been not one Republican that has come out and said that every person with brown skin is stealing money. Not one.
But
so
the brain-rotted leftist is going to go, well, you're saying the Somalians are stealing the money, and the Somalians are you know, black and brown people. So therefore, ipso facto, you're saying that black and brown people are stealing money.
You know what? They can say that all they want. It doesn't mean it's true. And Democrats are getting their arse kicked on this whole thing in the polling and so forth, which is why he is no longer running for re-election and why his political career clearly is over. It is 6:22, and we got a lot going on. Can we, Jay, just real quick, because people are always getting in and out of the car. And so 840 eastbound, can I get a real quick update on that?
Yeah, Dan, between Almaville Road, that would be exit 47, and Veterans Parkway, exit 50, still have this overturned semi, and it's got the road closed there on 840 eastbound. Both sides of the interstate are affected, so probably Murfreesboro Road, Franklin Road, the way to go there.
And this is an overturned semi. I don't know if it's a fatality or not, but
there's no reports of that as of yet.
So, and the only reason I mention that is because when it's a fatality, they've got to do a lot of investigation and that kind of thing. So, anyway, count on that being
this
jammed.
This happened like 2 hours ago. So, yeah, it's been there a while.
Okay, thank you, Jay. So, and what do you have coming up in your news?
Yeah, Dan, just who the heck's running Venezuela? We'll have that story. And also new fallout over the 2024 mishap on an Alaska Airlines flight. We'll tell you what that's about at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, Dan Mandis here for King and Associates Insurance. By the way, just real quick, Matthew Hurt is going to be joining us at 6:36 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Now, listen, friends, if you need to save money on insurance, you've got to check out my friends at King and Associates Insurance. So many of my listeners have reached out to me, letting me know that they've been able to save and save big with King and Associates Insurance. Now, one guy that I know, his 16-year-old daughter got into a car accident. King and Associates Insurance, they still saved him thousands of dollars when the time came for new insurance. You know why? Because at King and Associates Insurance, they know that life happens, stuff happens. And as independent agents, they can find you the best deal for you and your family. What they're going to do, they're going to weed out the non-competitive companies and find the best options for you. And yes, keeping the communication flawless. These are the folks that have been helping people out all across Middle Tennessee. They can help you as well. They know that it's not only relationships with the best companies around, but also bundling home and auto. King & Associates will fight for the best deal possible for you. So give them a call at 615-321-8121. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Save money and get great insurance with King & Associates Insurance. 615-321-8121. tkinginsurance.com. 629, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. I saw this just real quickly. Matthew Hurt is coming up next. Minnesota AG Keith Ellison, who I don't like him at all. I'm trying to, hate's is such a strong word. I don't like to use the word hate, but I hate both he and Tim Walz equally. I mean, I've never liked Keith Ellison. That dude is a slime ball as the day is long. Minnesota AG Keith Ellison could be next after reportedly being on audio talking to fraudsters, confirming the cover-up and apparently confirming that he knew about the cover-up. They say Ellison is on leaked audio talking to these people, telling them he will cover up the investigations. That is from Fox News. We've got more with Matthew Hurt coming up next. And the news with Jay Harper in for Joan is right now.
It is 6:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have a traffic report. There are some problems out there, and we'll get a weather forecast to you. We still have some dense fog in areas, so please keep that in mind. A spokesperson for Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado tells ABC News she is the only person who can restore democracy to the South American country. President Trump has said that he doesn't think Machado will has support within Venezuela to lead the country. Nicolas Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, is currently acting as interim president following Maduro's capture by U.S. troops. Machado spokesman Edmundo Gonzalez said Rodriguez is not a reliable partner.
She was the mastermind for Venezuela's regime to consolidate the very dangerous relations with Iran, China, and Russia. And she lacks legitimacy. She lacks support of the people.
New legal fallout over the 2024 mid-air nightmare on an Alaska Airlines flight when a section of the Boeing 737 known as a door plug was blown off over Portland, Oregon. Now, the pilots of that flight are suing Boeing, claiming the company initially tried to blame them for all this. You've got more now from ABC's Hannah Battah.
Captain Brandon Fisher claiming Boeing attempted to shift blame intentionally and falsely claiming that Captain Fisher and First Officer Wyprid made mistakes that contributed to the incident. As for First Officer Emily Wyprid, she's suing Boeing subsidiary Spirit Aerosystems. The company has not commented on the new lawsuits, but its CEO has insisted improving safety is a top priority.
That is the latest news, traffic, weather. They're both up next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. 632, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Listen, if you need anything for a birthday, a graduation, a wedding, an anniversary, whatever, check out my friends at Brentwood Jewelry. They are always here for you. Rings, watches, earrings, money clips, rings, you name it, they've got it at Brentwood Jewelry, and they've always got great prices and outstanding selection. You know, they've been here for over 50 years. Brentwood Jewelry has been proudly serving the Brentwood community with exceptional style and exceptional deals every day for 50 years. As a family-owned and operated business spanning 3 generations, they are deeply rooted in our community. From Salem Service and Special Forces to his son serving as local firefighters, the Amamali family, they are dedicated to giving back. And in a time it is imperative to support local, shop my friends at Brentwood Jewelry. You walk in, there's American flags all over the place. They appreciate you. They appreciate America. Check them out today, Brentwood Jewelry. Find them online. It is BrentwoodJewelry.com, 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. That website, one more time, BrentwoodJewelry.com.
The big traffic story remains this issue on I-840 eastbound between Almaville Road and Veterans Parkway. We had an overturned vehicle. It's still there, apparently, that has been, affecting traffic since about 4:30 this morning. Listeners are telling us the road is open but moving at a snail's pace, backed up all the way to exit 42. That's Horton Highway, so just be aware, if you get stuck in that, you're going to sit there a while. You may want to consider Highway 96, but that too is pretty backed up. 40 eastbound now before exit 196. We've got a crash. It's been moved over to the shoulder, though. The roadway back open. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.637 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you and good morning to Matthew Hurt. And Matthew, so this is funny, right? But so just going to tell people, Matthew, behind the scenes, what I just went through with you. Yeah. I get this text message from Matthew at 6:29. Oh, I overslept. I can't do the bit. And I'm like, after I've been promoting you all morning long. And
not responsible, Dan. Not responsible on my behalf, and so we're doing it live.
Listen, as Bill O'Reilly would like, but one thing about conservatism, Matthew, is accountability. So I appreciate you being accountable for the obligation that you made for Nashville's Morning News, and I appreciate you doing this with all of 5 minutes of prep. So I'm going to ask you a really complicated question first up, while you're still haven't even had your coffee and you're half asleep. Donald Trump asked the Republicans yesterday, I think it was yesterday, in want of getting some sort of a deal done on health care, asking Republicans to be flexible on the Hyde Amendment. Now, for folks that don't know what the Hyde Amendment is, basically it is an amendment that ensures that no taxpayer dollars will be utilized for abortions. Now, you and I have always talked about how Donald Trump is very much of a pragmatist and he's a deal maker, but he's getting a lot of pushback on that. Trump is trying to get a deal done with the Democrats on health care. And as you know, Democrats, Republicans, everybody needs a win. And so that's what Donald Trump is trying to get done. But he's getting a lot of pushback on asking the Republicans to be flexible on the Hyde Amendment.
Dan, a couple of months ago, you and I talked about the filibuster in the Senate and how Donald Trump wanted to move on the filibuster. And I remember you asked me at the end of that conversation, where was I? And the respect for the institution of the Senate in that regard was something that I think we both came away with in agreement. This is something for Republicans, of all of the issues that are out there. I think this pro-life issue, and Susan B. Anthony list came out strong yesterday in opposition to this. I think this is something that is going to be very difficult for Donald Trump to try to navigate. And the potential that Republicans lose a very serious activist base, that is to say, pro-life activists, is on the table if Republicans move on this Hyde Amendment. I think it's a very dangerous place for the Republican Party to be, and I think this is something where we're looking at President Trump, who wasn't a political figure to begin with. We're not having that foundation of political ideology or philosophy is very dangerous for the Republican Party going forward. I think this is a no-go for the Republican Party.
I would have to ask this question, though. Who is advising him? Is this like a Susie Wiles thing? I mean, anybody who knows, and I'm not criticizing Trump per se, but I guess I am. But I mean, I just putting Republicans in that position heading into an already difficult midterm, it doesn't seem very smart. And I can't imagine anybody within his team certainly not as Stephen Miller, certainly not as Susie Wiles, telling the president this is a good idea.
Yeah, Dan, I'd hate to venture a guess. I do think, though, this is probably a primarily a President Trump thing where he has these political instincts, and I say instinct with a neutral connotation, where he just wants to get to an end result. It doesn't have maybe the historic context or some of the understanding in the political space. And that is because, as I just said, President Trump was not a political figure for a long time. And so you don't have, people who got involved in politics for a political reason. They're pro-life, or they believe in lower taxes, or they support the Second Amendment. There's a broader historic understanding of why they believe what they believe and the history of their particular issue that they believe. And I do think this is one of the setbacks of a President Trump philosophy, is that he doesn't have that historic context.
All right. You and I have not spoken this week. So President Trump, the rather epic capture of Maduro, Nicolas Maduro, president of Venezuela. So now he is in our custody. That's now going to go through the courts, the legal system. In the news today, we do have Maduro supporting gangs. I guess they're members of a military, whatever it is. But they're out hunting Donald Trump supporters in Venezuela. What I said on day one is we really don't know how this is going to go in the weeks, months, and years ahead of us. A lot of people have been celebrating in Venezuela, but now we have violence starting to take hold in Venezuela. We don't, from what I understand, have any troops on the ground there at this point. I don't know. What are your thoughts on everything that's transpired so far?
Well, let's take a look at it in two parts. In the United States, more than 50% of Americans, according to a poll on CNN yesterday, more than 50% of Americans support the imprisonment and court process of Nicolas Maduro in the United States. This is an issue that's united Republicans and it's divided Democrats. Only 21% of Americans oppose bringing Nicolas Maduro in front of a court in the United States. Increasingly, because of the success of Saturday morning's extraction, more Americans support just overall the policy of taking Nicolas Maduro out of the country and bringing him to the United States. Now, what happens on the ground, and this is why I think Maria Machado was not immediately the pick of the Trump administration to replace Nicolas Maduro, because she didn't have the support of the institution of government and the military. And now what we're going to see is perhaps two elements. The military element, and then vigilante supporters of the Maduro regime who may turn on these protests and these protesters who were out in the streets celebrating the removal of Nicolas Maduro. This is this of the 17 to 27 to 100 different things that could happen in the wake of the removal of Nicolas Maduro. This is certainly one of them, and it is now probably in the Trump administration's interest to keep an eye on it and to prevent some of that from happening, which may mean some boots on the ground there.
Yeah, and President Trump said he wasn't opposed to boots on the ground. Speaking of which, coming up, Matthew, we're going to talk about Greenland and the White House coming out and saying that all options are on the table, including military options. We're going to get to that straight ahead. We do have some issues on the roads. It is 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, really foggy this morning, mostly sunny eventually with a high of 66. Matthew Hurt joining us on Super Talk 99.7. So earlier this morning and yesterday, actually, Matthew, I played the audio. Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller going back and forth. Tapper was trying to get Miller on the record as ruling out any military actions to ultimately take over Greenland. And Miller said the question was actually kind of a silly question because it's his message, Stephen Miller's assertion, that we wouldn't necessarily be utilizing the military to, air quote, take over Greenland, but it's something that we have to talk about with NATO and Denmark and everything else. And then this morning, I read that the Trump administration almost, it seemed like they were responding to Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller in that conversation and basically saying, oh, yes, we will leave military action on the table as a possibility to get what we want, which is Greenland. So I thought that was an interesting dynamic where after that viral conversation between Tapper and Miller, the administration comes out and says, "Oh yeah, we'll use military. We'll leave that on the option table." What do you think?
I do think it's in the interest of a president or a political decision-making entity to leave all options on the table, not to say we're not going to do this, because there's an unpredictability or an uncertainty to President Trump, particularly in the foreign policy space, that keeps people on their toes. This Greenland conversation has been happening now for almost a year. It was a big push at the beginning of right after Trump's inauguration, and then it kind of died down, and we're back here again. I do think that Denmark and Europe probably does not want to release Greenland. It is very strategically important for at least the United States to have some kind of presence there, and perhaps the resolution looks more like what we did with Alaska by purchasing it than going in some military-style operation. I think the Trump administration is probably hedging its bets by saying, no, all options are on the table.
Well, it's all part of the negotiation, right? Because there's sources now saying that Marco Rubio has been out there talking about buying Greenland as opposed to, militarily taking it. I don't think the Trump administration would actually use the military to take it. I agree with you. That is all part of the negotiation. So you never really quite know what's going to happen. I want to go back to Venezuela for a second. One of the things that a lot of people are talking about, of course, is oil and how the Trump administration allowing our oil companies to go in and start repairing the Venezuela's oil infrastructure and start, drilling for oil and really having control over China's main source of oil. Would you agree that this is all part of, there's a number of things here. Yeah, okay, it's about drugs, but it's also about oil in China.
It isn't about oil in the sense that the left made the argument that Iraq was a war for oil. Turns out we didn't get any oil from Iraq. I think what we're seeing here is for the better part of 25 years, China and Russia and Iran invested billions of dollars in infrastructure, including oil and natural resource extraction. And if these were all state-owned entities by the quote-unquote people of Venezuela, but the government, they had a boost from these three countries. And who is going to come in and continue that? I think, Chavez kicked out Exxon in the early 2000s. Now those companies are going to come back and continue to produce oil because of Venezuela's rich natural resources. And somebody's got to do it. And it shouldn't be China. It shouldn't be Iran. It shouldn't be Russia. And it's not going to be the United States government. It's going to be companies that are based in the United States that we know go into the ground and produce and refine oil. And I think that is a reasonable expectation.
Can we talk about Trump and him going after Gavin Newsom yesterday? He said that Gavin Newsom has a great line of BS, but he also said that Gavin Newsom could not pass a cognitive test. And now Newsom wants to go ahead and have a cognitive test and have it, done live or whatever. And, part of my question is this on Gavin Newsom, for just putting all that nonsense aside. But when Trump says that Newsom has a great line of BS, he's actually right on Gavin Newsom. You listen to Newsom, and I've got some audio that I'm going to play a little bit later on of Newsom just going through this epic line of BS. People are saying that Newsom has all of this momentum going into 2028, and his polling is rising. But the reason why Gavin Newsom's polling is rising is because he is going after Donald Trump incessantly instead of talking about his own record. California is a dumpster fire. So my question is this, and I'm going to, again, do some of this later on in the show, but at what point does Gavin Newsom have to start not focusing on Donald Trump, but focusing on his own record? Because once you look at the man's record, again, it's a dumpster fire.
Well, it's a great question, Dan. And most of the time, a politician will introduce himself or herself. That's the bio phase of the campaign. And then he or she will articulate issues, and then they'll draw a contrast at the end. We're in a state in politics in America right now where the Democrat Party is opposition to Orange Man. Orange Man is bad all the time, and we don't have to have solutions. That is the premise the Democrats are operating from. And so as we go to 2028, where Gavin Newsom does look like a serious contender for president for the Democrats, I'm not sure that the rules are going to be the same for him. And this is it's interesting to watch this play out. Normally, if a candidate out of the gate does not introduce himself or herself and they just go on an attack, that's not a good place to be. But for the Democrats, it's Orange Man bad, and it doesn't matter. He certainly sucked up a lot of air in the hypothetical Democrat primary, and I think part of it is because he has gone on offense against Donald Trump. And so it remains to be seen as we go to 2028 whether or not Democrat primary voters, expect Newsom to introduce himself.
Well, and here's the thing about Orange Man bad. Donald Trump's not running again. So it's like he's setting himself up for irrelevance because the more he talks about Donald Trump, the more people are going to be like, yeah, but he's not running.
But Dan, Donald Trump isn't on the ballot. He wasn't on the ballot in Virginia or New Jersey or New York last year. He won't be on the ballot this year. He's not on the ballot for Republicans, but Donald Trump is 100% on the ballot for Democrats for the foreseeable future. Donald Trump motivates them to get out and vote in opposition to him. All of his policies, whatever they happen to be, the Democrats will call J.D. Vance the Donald Trump 2.0. And so you're right technically that Donald Trump won't be on the ballot, but for Democrats, Donald Trump has been on every ballot since 2016.
Real quick, and I should have left more time for this, but okay, so Tim Walz not running for re-election. I believe that he should resign. I believe that he should be in handcuffs. We'll have to see what happens. Give me your 90-second thoughts on everything that is going on in Somalia Soda.
Well, the threat to democracy is alive and well for Democrats in Minnesota who are going to bait and switch Tim Walz out of the governor's office and replace him likely with Amy Klobuchar. And this is the first thing that I thought was, this is another instance where Democrats took the decision away from voters largely and anointed someone. Tim Walz was going to be an albatross at the top of the ticket in Minnesota in a year that I think Democrats might do pretty well. And for him to drag down that ticket because of all of the scandal that's happening surrounding the Somalian communities in Minnesota, the Democrats just couldn't have their most reliable state, the state that Ronald Reagan couldn't win. They couldn't have Tim Walz lose that in 2026.
You think Republicans are going to be able to flip that state because of all this? Because clearly the people in Minnesota are watching, and they know whether it's Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, or the Attorney General Keith Ellison, clearly they all have one thing in common, and that is the D next to their names.
It's a pipe dream for Republicans. I think Amy Klobuchar, if she becomes the nominee for governor in Minnesota, it would be very difficult for Republicans to overtake her popularity.
All right, Matthew, how can people find you on X?
I'm on X at Matthew Hurt, MattheWHurtt.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you very much. Always great analysis from Matthew, 654. And Jay's got the news coming up at 7. Jay.
Yeah, Dan, we'll get into what the heck's going on in Venezuela now that Mr. Maduro is no longer there. Also, is the U.S. really serious in its plans for Greenland? We'll have the latest on that as well. That's all at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:59, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, Brian Wilson is coming up next. And thing I want to ask Brian about, because I know that he's very passionate about this. In the news today, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting has now dissolved. What does that actually mean, though, in reality for PBS and NPR? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is Nashville's Morning News for Wednesday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 7 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've had a bunch of traffic issues. We'll get to another report, and we'll get to the weather forecast. We've got a fog advisory. It's pretty thick in some parts of the area. That advisory till 9 o'clock this morning. New details about President Trump's plans for Venezuela and its interim president, Delcy Rodriguez. ABC's Lionel Moyes has the latest.
Sources say the U.S. is demanding Venezuela cut economic ties with Russia, China, and Iran and partner exclusively with the U.S. on oil production. President Trump already announcing Venezuela will turn over 30 to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil. Trump saying that money will be controlled to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States.
The Trump administration also considering steps to acquire Greenland, even hinting at possible military involvement. Officials, including Tennessee U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty, who was on WTN's Matt Murphy show yesterday, argues the island is vital for U.S. security in the Arctic region, given movements of China and Russia in the region.
You think about the criticality now of rare earth minerals, and look at the deposits that are there in Greenland. Again, it has become increasingly relevant to our strategic protection.
Negotiation and purchase options remain, but the idea has drawn sharp criticism abroad. Denmark and other NATO members say any military move could threaten the alliance. Well, not satisfied with the results of a police investigation, the family of a Texas college student who died in a fall from a balcony in November is filing a lawsuit. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
Detectives say they found no evidence that 19-year-old Brianna Aguilera was pushed from the 17th floor balcony of an Austin apartment, and in fact that she had previously spoken of suicide. Tony Busby represents Brianna's family.
It's extremely troubling when you can't count on law enforcement to thoroughly investigate.
He's filed suit against two groups that sponsored a pregame tailgate party where Brianna Aguilera, who was not old enough to legally drink, was served alcohol before her fatal fall.
Today marks 1 year since wildfires erupted in Southern California in a 90-mile-an-hour windstorm. Over 30 people died in those fires and thousands of structures were destroyed. 1 year later, victims are still figuring out how to move forward after losing almost everything. ABC's Alex Stone is in Southern California.
In Altadena, where rebuilding has started, but many empty lots remain. Some fire victims claim there's a gold rush underway with developers moving in and buying up land. Kim Jones' family owned their home for over 50 years. They vowed to stay and rebuild, but it's been too tough. They sold to an LLC.
The reality of it is for sale because people cannot afford to rebuild.
Our ABC News data team finding around half of the homes bought in fire zones in the past year in Southern California have been purchased by corporations or investment firms.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Well, we are making some progress on this overturned semi that's had 840 eastbound shut down for a time on, this is the eastbound side, and we're talking between exits 47 and 50. We've had a problem there for the last, 2.5 hours with the road shut down. We're getting conflicting reports that it is open, but really going at a snail's pace there, but the truck has been moved upright from what we're told, so hopefully things will start moving there soon. Also, we have a crash 24 eastbound at exit 24 near Highway 49. That crash there in Cheatham County. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. 7:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Need some video if I could. This is the headline from Fox News just really quickly. Squad Representative Ayanna Pressley's ex-con husband slaps the phone out of a man's hand as he tries to ask her a question. If you are watching on Super Talk TV, this is what it sounded like real quick.
Do you support... Sir, get my phone out of my hands.
Ouch.
Sir, Congressman Presley, do you support President Trump investigating Somali child care fraud in Minnesota? Congresswoman Presley.
So she won't answer the question. And Brian Wilson, just to set the scene here, you've got Ayanna Pressley. If you don't know who Ayanna Pressley is, friends, she's the one who's got a shaved head.
She's like Fuzzy Wuzzy.
She looks...
She doesn't have any hair.
Right. And honestly, she kind of... whatever. I
more
believe that
Dan
she's...
Aykroyd and Coneheads.
I believe... Thank you, Sam. I believe that she's corrupt or whatever. But her husband apparently was served 10 years for drug trafficking, and his name is Conan Harris. So they're somewhere, and the guy is trying to ask her a question about, Somali fraud in Minnesota, and he just smacks the phone out of the reporter's hand. Can you imagine, Brian, if that was a Republican doing that to a Democrat? Oh, my goodness.
There would be screaming and wailing and gnashing of teeth. I've been in some of what we call a scrum in the television. And now it's a little different in that in the days that I would do it, it would be like, there'd be 5 or 6 television camera crews dogging somebody. And that is, I'm telling you, absolute chaos. It really is. But now it's just cell phones. People, you can get a high quality audio and video right out of your cell phone. So it's not quite as crazy as it once was. But, people who do this for a living, it's just part of the game. You're going to hack some people off. And, when it happened to me, I never thought too much of it.
Brian, can we be honest? Mm-hmm. This is something that a reporter dies for, hoping for, right? Because
you're not going to believe what happened to me. I've got some great footage. That's right.
Yeah.
You just made their case for it.
Well, and let's talk about this real quick because of your history in reporting. I don't think you and I spoke about this on Monday, but I know that you covered it last week like I did when I was on Red Eye and you were covering the morning show. Nick Shirley. So how amazing is it that Nick Shirley took down the governor of the state of Minnesota? Now, of course, Tim Walz not running for re-election. And it wasn't the Washington Post. It wasn't CNN. It certainly wasn't the New York Times. It was a 23-year-old and a cell phone.
Yeah. That's amazing. And getting back to the cell phone thing, really, to do citizen journalism, all you really need is a cell phone. I mean, you don't need a lot of it. It used to be in the days you couldn't do television without cameras and lights, and now it's easy. It's so simple, and a lot of people are taking advantage of that, and it really does change things. It's an embarrassment that there was no legitimate news organization, the mainstream media or the local stations or whatever it was. Nobody was investigating this to the level it needed to be investigated. It's quite shocking, really.
One of the things that I find interesting with, in the news today, you have obviously Tim Walz. He is spouting off, trying to, yell at the Republicans and talking about how the Republicans should be kicking Donald Trump out of the Oval Office and all of this stupidity. Clearly,
well, he said, put up or shut up. I would be very careful if I were him. He may get exactly what he wanted.
Well, and James Comer, House Oversight, they've got committee hearings today where they're now bringing in three Republicans from the state of Minnesota, including one of them that is in charge of, I guess, the oversight on fraud in the state of Minnesota. She is a Republican also running for governor in that state. And so for Tim Walz to say, put up or shut up, they're testifying today in front of House Oversight. So, Brian, you are absolutely right. All of that ahead of Tim Walz, who has been asked to join House Oversight in February, along with Keith Ellison. Now we're finding out that Keith Ellison, the Attorney General for Minnesota, he was recorded, speaking of cell phones, he was apparently recorded talking to some of these folks who have been convicted of fraud in Minnesota, of talking about how he would cover them and cover for their fraud. Now, we have not heard the audio as of yet, but my opinion is Keith Ellison, I mean, that dude is as slimy as Tim Walz.
Yeah, listen, I think there's a lot there, and I think when you hear the president say that he believes there's some criminality involved in some of these, high-ranking leaders like Ellison and Walz, I think he may be right about that, and I think it's going to get real ugly for Tim Walz, and if I were him, I would be seriously thinking about stepping down. I really would. I would give that some serious thought, but he probably won't because he's not the brightest tool in the shed. So, we'll just sit back and watch what happens.
Brian, there's a lot going on as far as Venezuela goes. We have a couple of new things going on in Venezuela. We have Maduro supporting gangs, remnants of the military, or people actually in the military that are hunting down Donald Trump supporters. That's part of the conversation. Also, Trump, of course, as you know, the vice president to Maduro is now in charge of Venezuela, as opposed to the opposition leader, Maria Machado. And so somewhat controversial. I'm going to ask you about that coming back, because my question is, okay, so if you have these the members of the military that are loyal to Maduro hunting down Trump supporters, and Trump is supporting someone who is essentially the vice president of Maduro, now in charge, what is the president's next move? Because things could go south very quickly in Venezuela. We're going to talk about that coming up next. Big problems out on the roadway. 7:15, time to check the roads on WTN. All right, as far as your weather goes for today, foggy this morning, mostly sunny eventually with a high of 66. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, Brian, in Venezuela. And what is Donald Trump's next move? The headline yesterday was no ground troops from America, of course, in Venezuela. But if you've got Maduro supporting gangs hunting down Trump supporters, and you've got Maduro's vice president in charge over Maria Machado, it seems like this could go south very quickly.
Yeah, I noticed that when Trump talked about the initial raid to get to Maduro, he said there was a second wave pending, but we decided we didn't need it, and that said to me at the time, well, the military was staying in the barracks and they were staying out of it. I think largely they still are. You may see isolated units here and there, but I have a feeling that we still have a lot of arrows in our quiver aimed right at Venezuela. Our military could launch an attack in 10 minutes if it felt that the military was trying to take some action against the people of Venezuela or try to upset the apple cart any further. So I don't think they're dumb. I think they know that if they come stick their head out of their shell, that it's going to be lopped off very quickly by the U.S. military in rapid order. So I think that they'll largely behave. There's going to be always going to be scatterings of this and that in a chaotic situation, but I'm really surprised at how peaceful it has been and that the military has not taken any more aggressive action.
And listen, all Trump has to do is say to the Maduro loyalists, listen, you get this under control, or we do have other options. Speaking of which, Greenland, it was really interesting.
Before we do that, can I just mention Venezuela?
Yes.
They're gonna give the United States 30 to 50 million barrels of oil.
Yep.
And I think this goes to what I was predicting on Monday when I joined you, that I think that this is largely going to go to the strategic reserve and not to the open market. Everybody's worried about it driving down the price of oil. Well, he drives down the price of oil by talking about it, then he buys a bunch of it for the strategic reserve at a very low price. Yep. I think he's playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers.
Yeah, and that oil, and you coming from Texas, of course, you know this all too well. The oil from Venezuela, they talk about how it's dirty and it needs
what they call heavy crude, not intermediate sweet crude like you have in West Texas. It is a little bit more to process, but we have the ability to process that, and it's no big deal.
Yep, that's exactly right. All right, real quick, Greenland. I find this really interesting. So yesterday, part of my presentation was I had the audio of Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller arguing back and forth about, whether or not Trump was going to use the military. Jake Tapper was trying to pin down Stephen Miller in ruling out any use of the military. Miller wouldn't take the bait. So then I found it interesting. Yesterday, the Trump administration comes out and says, of course, we have military options on the table. We're not ruling anything out. It was almost like they were responding to that interview.
This is a negotiating ploy.
Yes.
It's exactly what this is. This is Donald Trump trying to force Denmark and Greenland to the table. And guess what? Surprise, surprise, surprise. After all of what happened yesterday and the last couple of days, Greenland is now seeking an audience with Marco Rubio to talk about this. Look, I can't imagine maybe I'll eat these words, but I don't imagine a scenario where we invade Greenland, a NATO ally. No. I just can't imagine it. But, it is true to say that all options are on there. We have a plan for everything. To invade Greenland, to invade Canada, we've probably got a plan to invade Great Britain and all of our allies. You have those plans. That's what the military does. They put up a plan, they stick it on the shelf, and if they ever need it for some reason, they've got it. So, okay, we got a plan. It's on the table, but it's really not about that. It's about driving them to the table. We have a legitimate security concern here. I mean, we really do. And when you talk about what the Chinese and the Russians are doing up there in the Arctic regions, we have a real interest here. I think that he wants to buy Greenland, and I would love that. I don't think it's for sale. But maybe you can come up with some other deal where we get enhanced security agreements with Greenland and Denmark, and that might be ultimately what he's going for there, that we can put more troops in there because we have a real legitimate concern about that particular part of the world.
The thing that I loved about, and by the way, in the news today, maybe you've seen it, but Marco Rubio, apparently sources are saying that the president does want to buy Greenland, or at the very least come up with some sort of a deal, as you say. One of the things that I actually liked about the conversation between Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller was that I thought Stephen Miller really presented a good case regarding the president and NATO, and if the United States is supposed to be the main driver financially and strategically and militarily within NATO, Well, then, of course, with Denmark being a NATO ally, it makes all the sense in the world for the United States to be able to take over Greenland one way or another.
Yeah, I just really think that this is all a big negotiating ploy. I think that's all that this really is.
Yep.
And I think it's working. And I don't be surprised if before very long we come up with an enhanced security agreement and a better understanding about what we need to do to protect our interest in that part of the world.
All right, real quick. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting has now dissolved.
Can we just have a moment to savor the fact that the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is officially 1,000% gone? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I have wanted for a long. Government should not be in the job of producing television and radio. They shouldn't be in the job of supporting an organization that, this should be private enterprise.
Right.
It drove me nuts when I was doing your job in the mornings. I was competing against one of the, a station
NPR.
that gets government funding.
Oh, I know.
They should not be in this business at all. I'm glad it's gone. I'm glad they're dead. And and by the way, where are I haven't seen any NPR stations going under. I haven't seen any PBS stations, shuttering up.
No,
everybody said this was what was going to happen. It hasn't happened. Has it?
They've got all their donors and all that kind of stuff. They're going to be just fine. And
it ought to be private donations. And by the way, good riddance to organizations that have always traditionally been left leaning and not up the middle.
No, you're absolutely right. And these stations are not going to go under. They're going to. Frankly, they're going to have to be able to get more donations, just like, commercial radio stations have to sell advertising.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, by the way, quick thing to look out for. Supreme Court on Friday could potentially hand down a ruling on tariffs.
Is that on Friday? Okay.
I'm saying that could happen. And the other thing that I say, put on your long-range scanner, if you thought the first shutdown was a doozy, wait till the next one, because the Democrats are going to try to impose their will with regard to what Donald Trump has done in Venezuela and elsewhere by holding up funding, and it's going to be an ugly fight.
I saw
Stand
CNN.
by. It's going to be really, really, really brutal.
CNN is talking about just that. They were talking about that about an hour ago, where they're talking about another government shutdown.
Yeah, it's probably going to happen.
Well, and here's the deal, Brian. The Democrats know that they got spanked in the last one. As a matter of fact, it was a big, debate or argument within the Democrat Party. Why did they give in to Donald Trump? So now I think that they realize that maybe they made a miscalculation amongst their base. And so now, with that in mind, they are going to be more
strident.
Thank you. Great word. Strident in holding their own during negotiations.
Yeah, I really believe that's going to be an ugly deal, and it's going to once again show you just how non-functional our government can be at times. But that's, the closer you get to the midterms, the crazier it's going to get. That's just the way it is.
All righty. Well, Brian,
thanks
thank you very
to
much.
the Wellness Institute of Nashville for supporting these appearances every Wednesday. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon, Brian, either next Wednesday or as news breaks. And always appreciate Brian joining us here on Super Talk 99.7, 724, and Jay's got the news coming up at 7:30. Jay.
Yes, Dan. So just exactly what is the U.S. plan regarding Greenland? We'll have the latest, and also a scare for passengers aboard an Atlanta-bound flight last night. We'll have those stories and more coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, Jay, real quickly, because we're a little bit away from the traffic report. 840, still a mess. Is it closed or is it open?
Well, listeners are telling us it is open, but people are just kind of at a dead stop there. The traffic reports themselves are still saying that it's closed down. So we'll take the eyewitness accounts on that. Apparently, it was a truck carrying almost 30 pounds of meat, and it flipped over on the interstate.
All right, very good. I mean, not good, but thank you, Jay, for telling us that. That's what's very good, is Jay telling us about that. 725 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So the bottom line on 840 at Almaville is that people are telling us it's open, but it's really, really slow. Police are still telling us it's closed. Avoid the area if you can. At 7:25, let me tell you something. My friends at Contours, if you want to, here in 2026, if you want to make this the year of self-improvement, check out my friends at Contours. Now, right now, they're offering both their Tennessee famous Belly Buster special and a facial to battle those fine lines, both for just $150. Huge savings from my friends at Contours. They want to help you out here in 2026. Both their Belly Buster and facial treatments powered by cutting-edge and effective red light technology. Now, this red light therapy can help you lose inches across the middle. And yes, those annoying fine lines on your face. Now, right now, you can get both for just $150. And friends, I'm here to tell you that is a huge savings. That is a great deal. This is actually their holiday deal they had in December, but it worked out so well that they want to continue this here in January. If you're one of the first 10 callers right now, 615-236-9960, you get that special price of $150, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. You call right now. You get both the Belly Buster Special and the facial for just $150. If you want to find out more about red light technology and Contours itself, find them online. It is ContoursLLC.com, ContoursLLC.com. 727, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. The Wellness Institute of Nashville. I don't know if you've heard about this, but over at Wellness, they've got a new machine, the newest and greatest healing machine. It is called the Hydro Wave, and this is a great new way to heal your chronic back and neck pain. Again, it is called the Hydro Wave. Now, this, along with the non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, this is the best place you are ever going to find to heal your aches and pains. Now, listen, the Hydro Wave, again, it is the latest and greatest way to heal your aches and pains. So if you have back or neck pain, sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers or toes, well, they can be a past memory of yesteryear because the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they are here for you. This is really, really cool. So be sure and give them a call at 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. They've got a new special for 2026, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression for the new year, 615-246-5009. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. No one else is doing this in Tennessee with the Hydro Wave except the Wellness Institute of Nashville, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com, painisbad.com.
It is 7:31. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A traffic report and an updated weather forecast are on the way. The Trump administration saying the use of the U.S. military to acquire Greenland is, quote, always an option as the president sets his sights on the Danish territory. ABC's Martha Raddatz is in Washington, D.C.
The new White House statement saying specifically the president and his team are discussing a range of options to pursue this important foreign policy goal. And of course, utilizing the U.S. military is always an option at the commander-in-chief's disposal. On Capitol Hill overnight, members of both parties pushing back.
A scare for passengers that were headed to Atlanta last night. Their plane's landing gear failing on the runway. The LATAM Airlines jet blew all of its rear tires after arriving from Peru. More than 200 passengers had to be driven on buses to the terminal. The impact on the landing broke one of the plane's lavatory doors as well. A lady named Lisa Carcino, she was on that flight.
Grateful to be here safely. I really don't care about the bags or anything else. Just happy that everyone's safe.
Back here in Tennessee, a former state lawmaker is being spared prison time after President Trump pardoned her co-conspirators.
A federal judge has spared prison time for Robin Smith, a former Tennessee lawmaker involved in a mailer scheme. Smith pleaded guilty to wire fraud and was set for 8 months behind bars. But after President Trump pardoned her co-conspirators, former Speaker of the House Glenn Cassida and his Chief of Staff Cade Cothran, the judge reduced her sentence to probation. Smith says she remains hopeful for a pardon of her own. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Yes, thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. Jay, did I call you Jay Jones a few minutes ago?
Well, I mean, I'm seeing that on the text line. I don't recall that. Apparently, though, I said 30 pounds of meat. It should be 30,000 pounds of meat in that truck that overturned on 840.
Listen, I've got some breaking news coming up that is astonishing. Here's the headline. U.S. forces are attempting to board that rogue oil tanker in the Atlantic Ocean despite the presence of Russian vessels. So we're going to talk about that straight ahead. I'm just going to read the article for you and tell you what's coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you, Jay Harper. Appreciate it. 7:34. By the way, Chris Hand is also sending me a text message. I'm sure he's doing it safely, but that the fog along I-24 as he's trying to make his way in, really, really bad. And we hit, Jay and Sam and myself, we all hit that fog on the way in. It is insane. So if you're grabbing the keys and heading out the door, just know that you are going to encounter some fog this morning. Eventually, it's going to be sunny and a high of 66. I want to tell you about my friends at Window Nation. Now, listen, if you are tired of your house being uncomfortably cold, call my friends at Window Nation because you might have windows that are old. Maybe they're builder grade, but you need a window upgrade. You need Window Nation. Now, this month is a great time of year to replace your windows thanks to Window Nation. They've got a great deal going on right now. Buy 4, get 4 windows absolutely free. This is going on for the month of January, a great time to replace all the windows in your home. In addition to the buy 4, get 4 free, you can also get these incredible windows with 0 money down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. Replace your old or builder-grade windows with custom-built, high-quality windows from my friends at Window Nation. I've got 4 in my home. They've got an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, and this is a great company that you can trust. They've got over 45,000 5-star reviews. Buy 4, get 4 windows free from Window Nation, plus 0 money down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
Well, the talk of the traffic this morning has been this overturned tractor trailer on 840 eastbound right near Almaville Road. The interstate eastbound's been shut down most of the morning. They are exiting folks off the interstate at exit 47 and then routing them back on. And we are told that they have finally towed this truck out of there. It was carrying 30,000 pounds of meat. And apparently there's another accident on 840, not far down from this one. It's over in the median. It's just been a mess trying to get through there on 840 this morning. And we'll keep you posted on it as best we can. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.740, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jay, I'm not sure if you are seeing this. Breaking news from the Daily Mail. U.S. forces are attempting to board rogue oil tanker in the Atlantic despite the presence of Russian vessels. Now, you know that we have been, for a little bit of background, and I'm just going off memory here, but we've been boarding some of these oil tankers from Venezuela. And also we were pursuing an oil tanker from Iran a while ago. I lost track of that story, but these were sanctioned oil tankers. And so we were, this was before we went in to take out Maduro and arrest him. These oil tankers have been, an issue because, again, they are sanctioned oil tankers from sanctioned countries. And we have been taking them over and, bringing them to the United States and basically absconding with this sanctioned oil. Well, now this could turn into something.
Yeah,
think about this.
Yeah, the Daily Mail saying that the U.S. Coast Guard and military has been chasing this thing for like 2 weeks.
So this is, we were joking about this. Joan is off today, but next couple of days. But we were joking about, how do you... Our military, our Navy is chasing this oil tanker, and they, number one, how hard is it for our Navy to, chase this oil tanker? But whatever, it took a couple of weeks. But the reason why it's such a delicate situation is because they're not going quietly. They knew that we had taken over that previous oil tanker out of Venezuela, and so they were ready for us. And now this has turned into ultimately what looks like a standoff. They say the United States is attempting to seize a Venezuela-linked oil tanker after a more than 2-week-long pursuit across the Atlantic. The seizure, which could stoke tensions with Russia, came after the tanker, originally known as the Bella 1, slipped through a U.S. maritime blockade of sanctioned tankers and rebuffed U.S. Coast Guard efforts to board it. Officials who were speaking on condition of anonymity said the operation is being carried out by the Coast Guard and the U.S. military. Pictures in Russian media purportedly show a helicopter approaching the vessel today. The chopper appears to be an American MH-6 Little Bird, which I don't know what that is, but obviously a military helicopter.
It's fast, it's light, it doesn't hold a lot of people.
Got it. Thank you, Sam. They say that American officials added that Russian military vessels were in the general vicinity when the operation took place, including a Russian submarine. So what do you do? Like, if you're Vladimir Putin and you see all of this is going on because, this oil tanker more than likely was headed to give oil to China or Russia. Do you dare try to intervene with the U.S. military trying to board this oil tanker? God help them if they try to shoot down one of our helicopters.
Yeah, that won't be good.
That will not be good.
Considering the British are in on it now, too.
Yeah, I'm seeing that as well.
British Typhoons scrambled to intercept.
Right.
And how did this, here's my question. And again, this is breaking news, so, we're just sort of spitballing here, but how in the world does this massive oil tanker how was it able to slip through a blockade? With all of the drones and the satellites and the radar and all of that stuff, how did this slip through a blockade? Did it really slip through, or did we realize this was going to be more complicated and let it sail through while we tried to figure out what to do?
So you had it in that Daily Mail article where it's now being called the Marinara. I don't know if that's the only way to pronounce it. But they changed flags and they've changed their call sign.
Well, that's what they do.
Yeah, so that's partially maybe how it got through that blockade is they're flying, I believe they're flying a Russian flag on the ship.
And what they also do is they scramble their frequencies and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
But this would be an even bigger seizure than the last one.
This is huge. What do you do if you're Trump? Like, I mean, this could turn into something really bad.
His best bet is to pull that MH6 little bird up next to the boat, and they'll get him on a call through a loudspeaker, and he'll just go, "You need to pull this boat over right now.
It'll be the worst thing ever if you don't.
You will not make it home. We'll give you a one-way ticket out of the country if you comply."
The latest location data from the vessel showed it made an abrupt turn to the south and slowed to just 8 knots. It is now around 124 miles south of Iceland. I wonder where it's trying to go. Like, where do you think it's trying to go? Do we know? Jay, do you know where this thing is trying to go?
I'm looking up details on all this, and
Trump said
that's not being revealed in the stuff I'm seeing.
Trump said last month that he had ordered a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela, a policy the government in Caracas branded theft. We'll deal with it. In the run-up to the U.S. seizure of the country's former leader, Nicolas Maduro, I said all that. And so, you know, look at everything that's happened. We've had Venezuela sending all their bad guys into our country. They were sending all of these drugs into our country. We take out the drug boats. Then we arrest Maduro in what can only be described as an absolutely incredible military operation. Within that time, we had also taken over, I think, was it 1 or 2 vessels, Jay and Sam? Do we remember? Was it only 1 or we taken over 2, and this would be the 3rd, or will this be the 2nd if we actually get it? I don't remember. But so there's been a lot going on. And, of course, as I've been talking about, we've all been talking about, these vessels are and this whole thing is about oil. It is about oil that Venezuela and Iran have been selling to Russia and China. So this is going to be fascinating. And this is going to be fascinating to watch as it continues to unfold.
This would be number 3.
This would be number 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I checked the map. You said 124 miles south of Iceland.
Yeah.
That would be, which is why British Air Force got moving. It would be kind of in the Faroe Islands area, somewhat north of the UK and Ireland. So we don't know where it was headed, but it was the general area it was in.
Okay. Oh, we're late for traffic. Real quick. 7:47, time to check the roads on WTN. Okay, foggy this morning, mostly sunny with a high of 66. Listen to this this is a really long article from the Daily Mail, so all 3 of us are on it now. But 2 U.S. officials are now telling CBS News that American forces were planning to board the ship and that Washington would prefer to seize the vessel rather than sink it. Do you think Trump would sink it? You know this would come.
No. Just the environmental catastrophe aside.
Oh, absolutely. That was the first thing that popped in my mind.
Does it say how much? Does it say how much oil is on this thing?
The Daily Mail has it in a separate article about those British typhoons that scrambled. That there is 37 million pounds worth of oil on the boat.
37 million pounds.
As in the British currency pounds, not the.
Oh. Okay, so I don't know what that translates to barrels of oil and so forth, but
yeah.
Oh, this is so interesting. I know that I'm not going to get a nap today.
I mean, it sounds like if they're going to put up a fight, give it to them and send them swimming with the fishes and seize the tanker, prevent an international environmental incident.
Okay, so what are the options? You can sink it, you can board it, but then if you board it, if you got guys that are you can land a helicopter on these things.
They would repel. They'd repel down onto
the ship.
Yeah.
So they'd repel down onto the ship, but if they've got guns, then you are a sitting duck. Like if you're rappelling down, if they dare, if our guys are on a helicopter and they rappel down onto the ship and the oil tanker, the guys on the oil tanker decide to start shooting at our guys, they're sitting ducks.
Well,
if they have the testicular fortitude to do that, and as I said before, God help them if they do.
Or the stupidity. I think it would boil down to you've got your pilot, you've got your gunner on the window, and then you're going to rappel your team down onto the deck while that gunner gives some. But yeah, no, they're probably going to be coming down, guns out.
Yeah,
if that would be to be the case.
Is it kind of like a game of chicken?
Yeah.
Is it like a game of chicken on water?
Pretty
it's like
much.
Everybody's waiting to see what the other one is going to do.
Yeah.
All right, very good. It's going to be fun to watch. Am I the only one that is interested to see how this is going to turn out?
I would love to see the live stream body cam footage.
Oh, can you imagine? I wonder if there's some place online we can like track this all day. I just pop the popcorn and watch.
So I kind of figured out why they haven't released the Venezuelan footage yet. They did. Remember how they said no civilian deaths?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some Venezuelan military and Cuban military deaths.
Ah, too bad.
That's probably why they can't show the footage.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on this. I mean, all day long. This is fascinating. Breaking news: U.S. forces are attempting to board this rogue oil tanker in the Atlantic despite presence of Russian vessels. And this is again a Venezuelan-linked oil tanker, and this is all part of the war against China and Russia. Oil, Venezuela, Iran, Cuba, it goes on and on. 7:51 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. And Jay Harper's got the news coming up at 8. Jay, what do we got?
We'll have more on the U.S.'s intentions with Greenland. Also, the latest on the trial of a former Uvalde, Texas police officer. We'll have that again coming up at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:57. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, Jay Harper and Sam, it looks like we have boarded that tanker. This is, I don't know where this is from, disclosed.tv and some other places. Special forces along the U.S. Coast Guard have successfully, they say, boarded the Russian-flagged Iranian oil tanker Marinera? What did you say?
Yeah, it looks like Marinera.
That's what I said, yeah.
Marinera?
Right.
Now known as the Bella One.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the northern Atlantic, according to Reuters, initial reports that an additional crude oil tanker has also been boarded by the U.S. Coast Guard in the Caribbean off the coast of Latin America. And so apparently now Sky News is reporting the oil tanker has been successfully seized and is in the U.S. Can I just say how badass I feel right now with America?
Damn straight we did.
Wait, do it again.
Damn straight we did.
That is Stephen Miller. And every time we do something cool, we're just going to go ahead and play that.
Damn straight we did.
Stephen Miller. I love that. We're playing that in the 5 o'clock hour. Stephen Miller. And I think this is great. I love the fact that we are now standing up for ourselves. And I think that if this is a sanctioned oil tanker, and this is something Iranian and Venezuelan based oil tanker, and they were going to be selling some of this oil to China and Russia, and they had a Russian flag on this thing now. I love it. This is a big middle finger from Donald Trump to Vladimir Putin, seems to me. So I do. I think this is great. I love the fact that we are standing up for ourselves. And can you imagine, you think Joe Biden would ever have the testicular fortitude to do this? No, clearly not. But Donald Trump has done it. So we'll continue to monitor this situation. And it looks like the Daily Mail and CNN is actually behind the story on this, because CNN was still talking about how we're trying to board these oil tankers, and Daily Mail also saying we were trying to or threatening to board it. But apparently we have boarded these 2 oil tankers, and they are now in U.S. custody. And as Brian and I were talking about this just a few minutes ago, about an hour ago now, where it's like, okay, you know what? Our strategic oil reserves, they are barren thanks to Joe Biden. And so now we can utilize the 30 to 50 million, I guess it was barrels of oil that Venezuela is giving to America. We can use that, and the oil in these oil tankers as well. We can use that to fill up our strategic reserve. So we've got a lot of news breaking. It is 8 o'clock. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 8 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Another traffic report, as well as your weather forecast coming up. We're still dealing with some dense fog in parts of the area. The fog advisory for another hour. Following the use of the U.S. military in Venezuela, the Trump administration says the military could be used again, this time to annex Greenland. The semi-autonomous island is overseen by Denmark, which is a NATO ally. Denmark's prime minister said an attack on Greenland would be the end of the Western alliance. Speaking to ABC News, former U.S. ambassador to Denmark, Rufus Gifford, said there is no reason for the U.S. to threaten Greenland.
The Greenlanders and the Danes would welcome further American military investment in Greenland. We used to have 12 bases in Greenland. We have scaled them back since World War II, and even more so after the Cold War.
Nearly 4 years now after 19 children and 2 teachers were killed at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, the trial of a former school police officer is now underway. Adrian Gonzalez faces 29 counts of child endangerment. Prosecutors say he neglected his duty to protect students during the chaotic response to the shooting. ABC's Hannah Battah has more.
Teacher Stephanie Hale testified her students ran from the playground to the school building to find shelter and armed themselves with scissors.
Do what we had to do, defend, keep quiet, wait until somebody came to get us.
But the defense says Hale's account of where she saw the shooter changed from her earlier statements, a key detail in this case which they say was not disclosed to them in advance. Now the judge is considering a possible mistrial.
Let's get to the market numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. They are online at beaconcm.com with this morning's report. Here's Jim Ryan.
A week into the new year, the major stock averages are setting new records. Gains for AI chip makers and drug companies pushed the Dow up 484 points yesterday to an all-time high close at 49,462. The Nasdaq and S&P each added more than 0.6%. Saber rattling may become check writing. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has told congressional lawmakers that President Trump intends not to invade Greenland, but to buy it. Neither Rubio nor Trump has offered details. A week after legendary investor Warren Buffett stepped down, the new CEO at Berkshire Hathaway is getting a raise. Greg Abel was previously a vice chair at the company. Moving into the corner office will get him $25 million a year. You're likely to find an order form in the office break room or a tween standing on your doorstep. Girl Scout cookies have gone on sale for another season. The newest, called the Explore More, is inspired by Rocky Road ice cream.
Let's take a look at the stock futures this morning. The Dow's up 70. The S&P is up 0.5 point. The Nasdaq, however, down 41 1/4. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather. They're up next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Interstate 840 eastbound at exit 47. That's the Almaville Road exit. We are seeing that the interstate is back open now, but at a snail's pace. They had an overturned tractor trailer there. That happened about 4:30 this morning. And it, again, is open, but it is just really backed up. Looking at traffic cameras, it's stacked up all the way to exit 50. So be prepared for that. We've also got a crash here in Nashville, Wedgwood Avenue at 8th Avenue. That crash about 20 minutes old. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, yeah. Hey, guess what, guys? We beat CNN. Jay, we beat CNN.
Somebody needs to beat CNN.
CNN sucks. Yes, exactly. So CNN is now reporting that the U.S. has indeed seized the Venezuelan-linked oil ship Russia claims to own. So we beat them by like 7 or 8 minutes. So that's good. Now, apparently, Jay, Nolene has sent us a note on the super text line. Would y'all correct the gunner in the window statement to door gunner? The whiny bees in the YouTube chat have their little man panties in a twist. Listen, I'm just reading the super text line. Apparently, and now I didn't say it. This was something that I guess Sam said, where you used the term gunner in the window as opposed to door gunner. And so people are now getting, I guess, in the YouTube chat, who we love, by the way. We love the people in the YouTube chat.
Very, very conditionally.
But for me, it's non-conditional. I love the people in the YouTube chat.
They are a feisty bunch over there.
They are feisty. They've got their own culture going on, and I love them. So anyway, so apparently you, Sam, used a term, gunner in the window, that should actually be door gunner. But you've actually ridden in one of these helicopters.
Yeah, MH6 Little Bird. My uncle was a helicopter pilot in the Army for over 20 years. And they're typically windowless. They like, there's no glass on the side doors.
Right.
And so the door gunner people are referring to is common in the Black Hawk, where there is a big sliding door and a mounted gun. In the MH6, you get away with putting somebody in the front seat. You don't have to have two pilots for this bird. And there's no window, so you're kind of leaned out, exposed. So he always called it the window, grab the window,
right.
Careful at the window.
Sure.
That's what he called it. That's what I called it.
My favorite part of the back and forth was the guy said what about tactics?
Someone said, yeah. Oh, two people who never served a day in the military talking tactics.
I'm reasonably certain we weren't talking tactics, because you know what I've always said, Jay? A man's always got to know his limitations. And trust me when I say, for me, that's a lot to know, because I've got a lot of limitations.
I don't know how else you get on a ship in the middle of the ocean when you're trying to seize it. And,
right.
And without incident, spilling oil into the ocean.
Yeah, that's exactly. Whatever. Hey, people on YouTube, thank you for listening.
Unless there's a new piece of technology that transports you from the helicopter to the boat safely.
AI is doing incredible things. So maybe it could be whatever. All right, very good. I'm going to move on. But my whole point is we beat CNN by like 7 or 8 minutes. That's the important part. And thank you, by the way, to my friend Snark in the YouTube chat, by the way, who sent me the information that said, no, Daily Mail is wrong. Check this out. So thank you to Snark for helping us out. All right, it is 8:10 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is a big day in Washington, D.C., because there is going to be a meeting talking about the Somali fraud in what are we calling it? Somali soda. Somali soda is what I'm calling it. And so they're going to bring in 3 Republicans, and these are 3 Republicans that know all about what has been going on in Minnesota. And I'm going to give you some details on that, because I believe, obviously, that Tim Walz and Keith Ellison, Ilhan Omar, all 3 of them have been involved in this. And there's a story this morning that says that Keith Ellison has actually been recorded. Will you see if that's somewhere, Sam? Keith Ellison on tape admitting that he would help cover up the fraud, because that's what Fox News is reporting this morning. But Tim Walz, he was, needs some video here. Tim Walz gave a big speech yesterday, very defiant speech.
And right now, they are hiding behind a veil of innuendo. They're protecting the biggest fraudster in the White House. They are unwilling to acknowledge that January 6th was an insurrection. They are unwilling to stand with Melissa Hortman's children. And I want to tell you this, for those legislators who went and shed crocodile tears at her funeral, shame on you. Shame on you. Her children are asking you to do one thing in her name. It's to tell the president to stop doing this. That shouldn't be that difficult.
So that is Waltz, and he's talking about this this thought, this accusation, whatever you want to say, that there is a video that went around, and it was a video, and people are saying the video connects Tim Waltz to the murder of Melissa Hortman. And so a couple of things. Number one, stop with the January 6th and all that kind of stuff, because I think that is really dumb. But number two, he's mentioning Trump standing with the children of Melissa Horton. Remember, she's the House Speaker, the Democrat that was murdered in Minnesota. So Trump shared a video that tries to connect Waltz to her murder. The family is asking that he take it down and apologize. A lot of people are trying to connect the governor to the murder and the Somali scandal. And I said this before, I'm willing to listen to anything, but at this point, I'm not buying it. I'm just telling you, the theory is that the killer went after Horton and her husband after she voted to take away health care benefits from illegal aliens. She knew it was controversial. I believe that she also knew that it was dangerous. She did do it anyway. The suspect wrote a note saying that Tim Waltz told him to do it. I don't buy it. By the way, the video, a couple of things. The video said that the killer, alleged killer, was a longtime aide to Tim Waltz. The guy was not a longtime aide to Tim Waltz. He was someone that Waltz had appointed to a governor's board, which doesn't mean anything. So to me, whatever. If there's new information, I'm glad to look at it, but I'm not buying it. Got a lot more from Tim Waltz in what can only be described by yours truly as a crying fit is coming up next, as he is, very defensive and talking a lot about the Republicans and Donald Trump, doing anything he can to distract from his own epic failures and corruption. Details straight ahead. It is 8:15, time to check the roads on WTN. All right, 8:15. As far as your weather, it should be, at this point, the weather should be, the fog should be burning off, should it not, by about 8:15 in the morning?
In the roads, but what about in your head?
Nope, fog is always there in my head, sadly. All right, so you've got the audio, Sam. I have not heard this, but you've got the audio from Fox News where the accusation is that Keith Ellison knew about the fraud and that he would be willing to cover it up. I've not heard it, so go ahead, play the audio.
The only way we can protect what we have is by inserting ourselves into the political arena, putting our votes where it needs to be, but most importantly, putting our dollars in the right place and supporting candidates that will fight to protect our interests.
That's right.
You can only protect our interests when we have your back, and you don't have to worry about who's behind you.
So that was a unidentified person talking to Attorney General Keith Ellison, and Ellison confirms that's right when it comes to the assertion of protections.
Okay, so can you play it one more time? Because I'm having a. I want to make sure I heard what I heard.
Supporting candidates that will fight, but most importantly, putting our dollars in the right place and supporting candidates that will fight to protect our interests.
That's right.
You can only protect our interests when we have your back, and you don't have to worry about who's behind you.
I see. Okay. And isn't that guy that is talking, Sam, is that one of the guys that was convicted of fraud?
I believe so.
Okay. So basically what the guy is saying is, donations are going to go to the people that are protecting us. That's what I heard. I don't know about you folks, but that is what I heard. And as I've been saying since this whole thing started, Keith Ellison as just as slimy, if not slimier, than Tim Waltz. Who do you think is more slimy? Keith Ellison, the Minnesota Attorney General, or Tim Waltz?
Tim Waltz.
You think Tim Waltz? You're going to go Tim Waltz?
Yeah, because he publicly says things like this.
For me to ride you like you've never been ridden.
gross, man.
Yep. Anyway, so Tim Walz, we are playing audio from his. In fact, I think this is part of the audio that we pulled that from, where Tim Walz is going after Republicans, going after state lawmakers as well, as he's trying to blame everybody else for his own problems a day after he dropped out of his run for re-election. Won't resign like he should, but we'll see what the House Oversight Committee finds when they start talking to Republicans today on Capitol Hill.
So look, for Republicans here, I have more energy than I've ever had. I am committed to this state more than I've ever been. I love this state with every fiber of my being. I believe we are the best state.
Can I ask this question, though? Like, if you love the state, why did you allow it to fall victim to such fraud? Right? I mean, if you love a state, why would you allow it to ultimately turn into such a fraudulent, corrupt train wreck? Well, it's because he was protecting his own political power and the political power of his party. Because this whole, remember what I always say, all of these, roads of corruption lead to the Democrats. That's what's going on here. That is what's going on in California. That's what's going on in Chicago and all of these other Democrat-run cities and states. And that is why Donald Trump has, and we reported on this yesterday, Donald Trump has said, no, you know what? No more funding for you, Democrat-run states, until you can prove to me that our taxpayer dollars is not going to corruption.
Have I been perfect in this? God dang no. I wasn't perfect as a teacher. I wasn't perfect as a coach. I wasn't perfect as a soldier, but I was pretty damn good at all those things.
Were you good as a soldier?
Can't load a shotgun. It wasn't perfect as a coach. His famous flub with sports fans was when he said the team ran a pick six. Like it was a called play. Talking about a football play.
A pick six, interception back to the end zone for the touchdown.
Yes,
right?
Except he explained it worse than that. It's like, dude.
What did he say?
He said the team,
ran a pick six?
Yeah, something like that. He just totally flubbed the verbiage, and sports fans were like, what?
You don't run a pick six. You
happen upon it.
Yeah, exactly right. You happen upon a pick six. What an idiot. All right, moving on.
I'm good at all those things. And I am committed to getting this right. And I will tell you what, if they think now, game's over for them now. It was all me. I was the bad guy or whatever. Well, put up or shut up now and tell us what you're going to do to make this state better. Answer these tough questions. Quit hiding behind this and expect for the next 11 months for me to ride you like you've never been ridden.
There it is. Do you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of the Venezuelan president, Maduro, when he was screaming, calling Donald Trump a coward. Remember that?
Oh, come get me.
Come get me, coward. Well, okay, so that's what Tim Walz sounds like right now is Maduro a few months ago when Maduro was yelling at Trump, calling him a coward and saying, come get me. You keep it up, Tim. Keep it up. The investigations are really starting. Well, they have started, but they've got 3 Republicans now coming in to the House Oversight Committee today for the interviews, and they're going to get all the information they need for when Tim Walz and Keith Ellison end up going to testify to that same committee. I believe it's on February 10th.
So, it'd be really funny if criminal charges came from this and they perp walked him. Line his handcuffs with maxi pads. Because then he can't complain about how tight they are.
Tampon Tim.
Republicans want to tell you everybody with brown skin is stealing money or that they're not welcome here. They want to do nothing to improve this state. Their idea of improving this state
is forcing you out of office and arresting you. That is what, can I just say this, though? So he talks about the Republicans and how the Republicans have no ideas how to improve the state. I mean, neither do the people of Minnesota, because they've been voting Democrat for years. They've been voting for Democrats. Now, this has obviously, it was federal taxpayer dollars that were used in a lot of this fraud. So it has obviously national implications. You and I are ticked off about this because it was our taxpayer dollars that were used in this fraud in Minnesota. But the people of Minnesota, they don't care. Be honest about this. People of California, people of Minnesota, people of Illinois, they're in the news today as well. They don't care about their state because they keep voting for the same party that has been guilty of running these states into the ground. Did you hear what's going on in Chicago? I have so much stuff today. In Chicago, you know what? I'm going to do it at 8:35. Remind me, Sam. I'm going to play audio in the crisscross handoff from a bunch of preachers in Chicago. Write this down. Make sure that I do this with Chris.
I don't even have to. I know exactly what you're talking about.
A bunch of preachers in Chicago who are really mad because the Chicago, whoever they are raising property taxes. Wait till you hear what they have to say. That's coming up. But here's more from Tim Waltz.
Is being a parrot for Donald Trump, agreeing to everything that he agreed with. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. It ain't happening. I'm not going anywhere. And you can make all your requests for me to resign over my dead body. Will that happen? I will fight this thing till the very end to make this state better. And the question that I think they need to decide is when did the guy in the White House resign? When does he take accountability for what he did? Because it isn't going to happen here in terms of us shying away from making the state better. So you'll get to see me more. The good news is
The good news is that the more he speaks, the more show prep we have here on Nashville's Morning News. Because you know the thing about Tim Waltz, he's such an idiot. He's such a moron that he never disappoints in saying stupid things that we can play on the radio. By the way, you heard him talk about how the Republicans are saying that all brown people are stealing. That's what the Republicans are saying. Not one Republican has said that ever.
This is that I got no election to look forward to. I've been in front of you. I'll call on who I want to call on, and I'll watch what the press gets written, and we'll make sure that in this state there's full accountability for everybody, because I buck stops with me. I'm accountable for this.
So there you go.
That's a contradiction. I'm going to call on who I want to call on, but also we're going to make sure everyone takes accountability. So basically, I'm going to hand select who gets to ask me questions and screen myself, essentially.
Well, yeah, and he's saying the buck stops here. Okay, well, if the buck stops here and you're taking accountability, then you ought to resign. That's what you ought to do, is you ought to resign. I always love how people say, I take responsibility for this. I take accountability for this. But they stay in office. So what exactly does taking accountability and the buck stops here, what does that mean with Democrats? What does that even mean?
Well, and it'd be one thing if it was just fraud for personal use, but we're talking fraud that was sent back to Al-Shabaab, the syndicate of Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
And he's not taking accountability.
No, and the Democrats, and I know, and you mentioned that. So what we've talked about, what I've reported on, just to give it full context, is people, the Somali community in Minnesota, they're sending money back to Minnesota, or I should say to Somalia, to all of their relatives, the farmers and the shopkeepers. And then Al-Shabaab really acts like a shadow government in Somalia. So they go to these shopkeepers and these farmers and they demand money. So yeah, you've got that money, the remittances, the money that is going from Minnesota to Somalia. Al-Shabaab is getting that money and then they're committing acts of terrorism with it. And I had that that audio from that former UN inspector that watched Somalia's finances. I had audio from him talking about how he's been watching this happen for years, where the money goes from Minnesota and from America to Somalia, and the shopkeepers and the farmers and whatever else they do in Somalia. And Al-Shabaab goes and they shake down these families and these farmers and these shopkeepers. So yes, it does go to Al-Shabaab. It does go to fund terrorism. Democrats, like it or not, that is what you are voting for. And that is what Tim Waltz and all the other people, Ilhan Omar and Keith Ellison, that is what they allowed to happen. Got a lot more straight ahead. 8:26. And Jay has the news coming up at 8:30. Jay.
Yes, Dan. So with all that's going on down in Venezuela, I mean, who's really running things down there? We'll have that story. Also, the latest job numbers are out. We'll cover that as well at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. DT McCall's. Now, this is my furniture store, and this is my place to get appliances as well. I was a customer long before I was an endorser. This is a great Tennessee company, DT McCall's. They are here for their fellow Tennesseans. Great prices, terrific selection and value as well. I've been telling you for years about DT McCall's. They've been helping people out for, count them, 4 generations. And if you need it for your home, they've got it at great prices and selection at DT McCall's. If you've got a room to fill, they've got terrific, all the best brands of indoor furniture. If you need an appliance, if it plugs in, they've got it. They've always got specials going on to save you money. I've got several appliances in my home from DT McCall's. The minute something breaks, I'm on the website, dtmccalls.com, looking for a new whatever it is. My latest thing that I bought was a few months ago, a new refrigerator. DT McCall's, not only did they have great selection, great prices and value, but they delivered it for free. And yes, they offered to haul away the old one as well. They've been at it for over 100 years, DT McCall's, with a focus on customer service. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Loan Pronto. Here we are, 2026, the best financial move you can make right now. How about lowering that mortgage rate to 4.99% fixed APR? That is the lowest rate in years, courtesy of my friends at Loan Pronto. How about getting up to $500,000 out of your home equity in the process? Yes, you can do it right now by calling my friends at Loan Pronto. With their rapid equity loan, you can get a ton of cash out of your home's equity, pay off all of those high-interest credit cards, and skip up to 2 house payments as well. Now, one homeowner recently going through Loan Pronto just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours, wiped out their credit cards and a couple of car loans as well, and saved up to $2,100 every single month. How about you? What can Loan Pronto do for you? Don't wait. There's no hard credit pull up front, and you probably won't even need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Act right now. 615-499-5780. 615-499-5780. Find them online anytime, loanpronto.com, and start the new year by wiping out all those higher interest debt and lowering your bills by thousands. 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, APR for well-qualified buyers. Visit nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
Important security message. To unlock the computer,
Good morning. I'm Jay Harper. It is 8:33, and we have got your top stories here this morning. We'll get your traffic and weather to you here in just a bit. Even though Nicolas Maduro has been removed from Venezuela by the U.S. and ousted from power as president, his regime is still in place there. His vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, was sworn in as an interim president, and members of his inner circle are cracking down on any opposition. We hear now from the ABC News in Colombia. They're along the Venezuelan border.
computer has been locked out.
All right, so clearly, Jay.
The address was used without your knowledge or consent to visit websites that contained identity theft. To unlock the
Hey, Jay, we got to abort your newscast, man. I don't know what's going on in there, but there's like, stop. There's like, Chris, do you hear what's going on in there? Does Jay know what's happening, or is he?
I hear it, and I'm wondering, maybe Joan took some time off because she ruined the computers yesterday.
Maybe that's what it is. Joan set a trap for Jay. All right, does Jay know what's happening? Because okay, so Jay has no idea what's happening.
Jay's in the zone.
He is in the zone.
The news zone.
Sam, so what are we doing? So let's just forget about Jay's newscast. All right, do wellness. The funny thing is Jay's just going on like everything's normal. Like he doesn't know that there's like 5 things coming out of his computer.
That's what you call a total pro.
Exactly. That's what you call a total pro, as opposed to me who has to jump in and be like, does he know that there's like tones playing and the computer's been taken over by
Russians?
That's what it is. They're angry about the tanker that we took over, and now they're hacking Jay Harper's
They're
computer.
retaliating. Say, you take a tanker, we'll take a newscast.
All right.
Is it still going?
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing now.
Is he still doing it?
I don't know.
Does
He's
he know?
looking at his computer like everything's fine. Find out if Jay knows what actually just happened. I'm just curious now. 8:35. Nashville.
Save that for a best of.
Exactly. 8:35. Dan Mandis here, the Wellness Institute of Nashville. And hey, have you heard of the, because you do wellness, right? Have you heard of the hydro wave?
Big fan of the hydro wave.
Have you done the hydro wave
I haven't
yet?
done it yet, but it's on my bucket list.
So I want to go in. I want to do the hydro wave. Now, everybody knows that Dr. Mitchell fixed me up a long time ago, but I would be willing to go back just to try the hydro wave.
You should try something dangerous. Get injured. Like you should take up skateboarding, drop in on a half pipe, so that way you really do need the hydro wave.
You know what? I want to know, is the hydro wave better than my hot tub at home?
100%.
You think so?
Does your hot tub at home stimulate real cellular healing?
I don't know. It feels good when I'm in it. I don't know if what's being stimulated. Hey, anyway.
Okay. Now you got to channel your inner Jay Harper. You got to be a total pro, and you got to get through the rest of the ad, all right?
She's got those 2 holes I'm going to have to fill now.
Okay.
So the hydro, I'm going to take that thing away from you, Sam. So the hydro wave is this amazing new device that they have at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. This, along with surgical spinal decompression, it is absolutely the best healing things, the best healing machines that you will ever find. And right now, you can utilize either the hydro wave or their spinal decompression therapy, non-surgical spinal decompression therapy, 2026 special, 47% off. Check them out right now, painisbad.com. That is painisbad.com. Find them online as well. Again, painisbad.com. What a train wreck. 615, in case you didn't get that, it's painisbad.com.
I thought you did good.
615-246-5009. Got a lot more straight ahead. Mark Spain Real Estate, friends, start the new year off right and stress-free. Sell your home with Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer. You are going to save time, make the most money, and eliminate all that hassle. You don't have to worry about the hassle of constant cleanings and making costly repairs. With Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer, you can receive the strongest all-cash offer in the industry and move when you're ready. There's no showings, no open houses, and no stress. Selling your home, as you know, is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. So who you work with matters. They've got over 14,000 five-star reviews, and you can trust the most experienced real estate team in America to sell your home quickly and for top dollar. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be, and there's no obligations. Call them 855-299-SOLD or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
Well, this crash, I know we're tired of talking about it. You're probably tired of hearing about it, but it has been quite the issue this morning. I-40 eastbound at Almaville Road, it was closed earlier. It is back up. We had an overturned tractor trailer there, but it is clear now. Traffic still very, very slow through that area. We also have another crash now, 40 westbound just before Spence Lane. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So that is obviously a song about Chicago.
Chicago.
Do you know what I've often wanted? Do you think I'd get in trouble? I need you folks to just theater of the mind. All right? Would I get in trouble if I said, when I say Chicago, if I put a T after Chicago? If I put a T right in there between sh and Chicago, would I get in trouble by the FCC?
I think if you pronounced it ch, you could get away with it.
Like a chit, like a payroll chit.
Is there such a thing as a chit?
Yeah, a chit. Chit's a real word.
Chit?
Chicago.
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 I feel really awkward doing that. You know what? It might be too late. Is Jay listening?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Jay, what in the world happened in your last newscast?
Man, I have no idea. This computer went berserk with one of these crappy, your computer is infected things.
What are you downloading back there,
that
Jay?
was my first thought. Is like, what is Jay Harper doing?
It sounded like what I used to do to my family computer with LimeWire back in the day.
I know, and I couldn't hear a damn thing besides that, so I didn't even know if I was going out or what. But
I did have to cut the feed, and Dan read a spot.
I knew something was going nuts, but
all three of us.
I had to restart the computer in here.
All three of us were impressed with the resolve that you had to just keep going.
And you guys did. I put him in preview while you guys were talking, and I'm listening to him continue with his newscast despite the errant beeps and error messages.
Again,
just a total pro.
I couldn't tell if it was going out over the. Anyway, it was, an absolute chit show. Yes, a chit show.
Okay, just so we're clear. I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
It's a token or a piece of paper.
It's one of those things where we'll ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Damn straight we did.
Jay, I took over your newscast.
Well, I'm glad somebody did because that was just, I've never had that happen.
I got a joke. Jay, I took over your newscast like the American military takes over an Iranian-linked oil tanker.
Damn straight we did.
So clearly, we played that Stephen Miller audio earlier, and we've been having fun with it all day long because,
He's a beast.
he is a beast.
He's never going to be allowed back on CNN. You know that, right?
Sam and Jay were making fun of Stephen Miller's voice because it's a little effeminate.
Just a little bit.
Were you surprised when you heard that Stephen Miller was married?
No.
Okay, good. Me either. Anyway, so
But what? He's got a good-looking wife, too.
Oh, she's a, yeah.
He outkicked his coverage, as we say.
Oh, people say that about me all the time.
Likewise.
Do they?
Likewise. Oh,
yeah, but all of us. Look at us.
Yep.
For me to ride you like you've never been ridden.
There's also that one that Sam has been having fun with. I got to take that. Did you hear that yesterday?
Yes.
Did you have the same thought I did without saying it? Because there's kids in the car.
You know what I thought was I went back to hip hop, Chris, and I just went pause, pause,
like clip it,
pause.
All right, very good. All right, let's play. Have you heard what's going on in Chicago?
What that there's a bunch of illegal aliens and crime and murder and handbag theft.
So you got a bunch of these preachers.
Handbag theft.
What, you like that?
Yeah.
They steal handbags all the time. That's like one of the favorite things to steal.
They
in
go into the
Chicago.
designer stores and steal the $2,500 handbags.
Okay. Well, listen, if you're going to steal something, it might as well be worth it. You know?
That's what my grandmother used to say to me all the time.
If you're going to...
She would tell me, she'd say, I swear, meme hand. We loved meme hand. She would say, Chris, if you're going to steal something, you don't go get a candy bar.
Or a pack of gum.
You go to the bank. Okay, meme. Thank you.
All right. You got a bunch of preachers, and they represent, I guess, a bunch of people in Chicago who are angry that they're raising their property taxes.
Yep.
All right. So here's a bunch of preachers.
Poor residents on the west side and south side have been targeted. Unfortunately, this is a blue state, and many of us have supported these elected officials.
The religious leaders point the finger at the Cook County Assessor's Office and the County Board of Review for giving places like Trump Tower a break. Now, the Cook County Assessor, Fritz Kagi, responded with a statement pointing the finger elsewhere, saying, quote, these property tax increases hitting South and West Side homeowners are flat out unfair, and they're the direct result of huge cuts that the Board of Review commissioners gave to large corporations.
So what I love, of course, is that, number one, you know how much money they spent on illegal aliens last year? Billions
right?
and billions of dollars at the city level and the state level. That's number one.
That's what we know about. That's what's on the books.
That's exactly right. Number two, you got all these guys that are like, you know, we supported these lawmakers. Yeah, you did. But how are you surprised that they're raising the taxes? This is what Democrats do. Tax and spend. This is what they do. They're also corrupt. And you guys are the ones that, all you preachers, all you faith leaders are the ones that have been prodding your community to vote for these very corrupt Democrats.
Vote blue no matter who.
Vote blue no matter who.
And then when the results come in, act shocked.
$640 million in Chicago, $2.5 billion for the state of Illinois. That is what they've spent. And we've all, I mean, I know you and I have. We've played the audio of those members of the community who are really angry because they brought in all of these. You know what the other thing that they spend a lot of money on, though, in Illinois is
extended magazines.
JB Pritzker's buffet table.
Oh.
There's all that. You see what I did there?
JB Pritzker is the kind of guy that eats the bread that soaks up the bacon grease.
Yes.
on the buffet table.
Oh my goodness gracious! You look at Pritzker, you can just hear his arteries hardening as they go along.
You know how the really nice places put out that little, cleansing bowl with the moist towelette.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I feel like he'd mistake that as an appetizer.
He's the kind of guy who breaks a sweat breathing.
Yes, indeed.
What's the point of being heir to a billionaire hotel franchise if you're going to be a, fat, rotund slob like that.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, what are you doing? Like with the modern advances in science, he wouldn't even have to work out. He could get like the calf implants, the pec implants. He could look like $1 million if he wanted to.
He could take like 3 shots a day.
Yep.
Right? I mean, why doesn't he?
I think he might be starting. He wants to run for president.
He's got to just run.
It's like he
get some exercise, man.
You did not just say that.
Damn straight we did.
Hey, it's a big day. It's a big day for Chris, guys.
Huge day.
It's a huge day for Chris.
Huge day. I'm very excited.
Very excited. Big hype.
Big hype.
What are you doing today?
Getting a haircut.
Yeah.
I came in. I told Dan, I'm so excited. I haven't gotten a haircut since before Thanksgiving, and it's getting a bit untamed.
Sure. Let's see.
You notice if you watch me on the YouTube stream, you know I need a haircut when I start consistently wearing hats.
Sure.
Because look, it's bad.
Yeah, boy, I don't know.
Bad.
I don't know, man.
It's
all over the place.
I came in and I told Dan, and it's like wrong guy to tell.
Yeah.
Because Dan goes, well, I haven't gotten a haircut since Thanksgiving 10 years ago.
That's exactly right. It's been a long time. I haven't had a haircut since Thanksgiving. Do you know when? You know how much money I save on haircuts now?
Tell me.
It's like $100 a year. Because I'd get a couple of haircuts a year, and I'll never forget.
Inflation haircut prices.
I'll never forget. Has it gone up? Has it?
Oh, yeah.
I used to. Where do you go? Do you go to like a stylist?
No.
Where do you go?
I go to Midtown Barbershop in Murfreesboro. It's based. The guys are great. It's a legit barbershop.
Okay.
Nobody's styling.
You're going to get it?
There's no highlights being given. Although they probably could do it because they're the pros. But
if you wanted frosted tips, they'd do it.
They would.
But they don't want you to ask for it.
I dare you to get frosted tips.
No.
I dare you.
Never.
You know what? A real man is comfortable enough in his skin that he'll get frosted tips. You can frost your beard too, like mine.
Yeah, it's doing it on its own thanks to those kids.
So just so we're clear, I don't have frosted tips in my beard. I'm going gray.
Yeah, me too.
You are going gray.
It's the kids.
It is the kids.
I blame the kids, 100%.
It has nothing to do with aging.
No.
I just find it funny you said going gray, Dan, instead of went.
Oh, jeez, Sam.
Totally gray. What? Shut up.
I mean, you're wearing a gray hat and a gray hoodie. It doesn't really reflect well if you're trying to hide gray.
Listen, that gray marks wisdom. That's what that is. Men who are, back me up on this, Chris. Men who are going gray, that just shows that we've got some wisdom.
We're
wisdom
wise.
being that your kids will stress you out.
I was going to say wisdom and we have kids.
Yep.
Murphy Show's going gray too.
He's only got dogs.
Well, if that's true, Dan, I'm the smartest guy here.
There you go, Jay.
Yeah.
Listen, after your last newscast, you have nothing to talk about.
I know, man. It wasn't my fault, Dan.
By the way, speaking of dogs, I got a funny story.
What happened?
I hope she's not listening.
The dog?
No, my daughter. My daughter has a couple of dogs. And she cannot, for the life of her, figure out why her dog keeps going pee in the house. All of a sudden, the dog keeps going pee in the house. Now, she's got a very small apartment. And the dog continues to go pee in the house. She says, I can't figure out what is going on with this dog. It's never done this before. I said, well, how long has it been going on? She says, about 3 weeks. I said, okay. How long have you had your Christmas tree?
Oh.
This stupid dog has been going pee under the Christmas tree.
Oh,
because
that's not
he
what you're
thinks it's
supposed to put
outside.
under the tree.
This dog urinated and crapped all over their Christmas gifts.
Oh, my gosh.
I was like, I mean, I'm sorry, but I think it's a little funny. So I said, you've got to get rid of the Christmas tree. This was yesterday. I'm talking to her.
I would have advocated for getting rid of the dog.
She loves the dog.
I constantly advocate to get rid of my dogs, and I love them. But we don't have enough time.
You don't have enough time to get rid of a dog?
Get rid of these dogs. No, I don't have enough time to love them. I don't have enough love to give.
Okay.
Dan, I'm loved out.
Do you know what I actually told my dog one time, Bandit? You're going to get gnomed. I would never gnome my dog. Christy gnome, right?
Yeah, everybody. I think everybody understands.
Did everybody get the joke?
Why she had to include that in the book, we still don't understand. How that made it past the editors.
I don't know.
And I dragged that mutt to the gravel pit.
South Park had a field day with it.
Did they really?
Oh, every clip that they had her in, she was shooting a dog.
I thought she was DHS, not ATF.
Oh.
You ever seen the T-shirt with the ATF agents? It's like, no, an ATF hand signal.
Yeah.
And every hand signal is like, there's a dog over there to shoot. Shoot that dog. There's a dog right there. Shoot it.
You know, the lead singer of Rascal Flatts had the tips in his hair.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, you could. I think you could rock it. I really.
Mario on the text line said we need to get the likes up so Chris can dye his hair.
Giggity.
I would not dye my hair.
3325 says you're not a good Christian if you can't find the time to love a dog.
Based.
Once we got to kid number 2, the dogs really became the dogs.
Is this your last dog?
We have 2 right now. We have a chocolate lab and a King Charles Cavalier.
Mm-hmm.
And there is absolutely going to be a long window of time before we ever broach the conversation again once those dogs are.
I love Bandit, especially because he's my last dog. We've already gone down that road, Amy and I. Last dog, love him, don't want anything to happen to him. You know, the best thing that I can say about Bandit, he knows the difference between an indoor tree and an outdoor tree, unlike my daughter's dog. Have you ever heard of that, though, a dog? This is how stupid this dog is, not knowing the difference between an inside tree and an outside tree.
Did she have a real tree? Or was it a fake tree?
It's a fake tree.
Well, that's a very dumb dog.
Because can't you smell it?
That is a very dumb dog.
I thought it was hilarious. And she's like, oh, my God. I can't believe you're probably right. It's like, get rid of the damn tree.
Get rid of it. Throw it out.
Or the dog. But I would never advocate getting rid of the dogs. She's had those dogs for years.
You know, I say that we'll take an extended break when we these dogs go to heaven.
Right.
But I feel like you telling me that you'll never get a dog again, it's a bit of bovine scatology. I think you're too much of a sap. I do. I think that you would have a soft spot in your heart, and it would be a year or 2 after Bandit, and you'd see that puppy.
Do you know who's not a sap? My wife.
There you go.
I see it more going down like you're in retirement and you're lonely and bored throughout the day.
Sure.
And then you see the like an adoption center post a reel on Instagram of like a disabled dog with 3 paws or something and just hits you right in the old man feels.
I'd be the guy that gets the disabled dog. Not that there's anything wrong with a disabled dog.
No, they need homes.
They do need homes. We got to go. What's coming up next, Chris?
We're going to talk all about why you shouldn't get a disabled dog. That's going to be the main topic. No, we'll talk about the boat that was boarded. We'll talk about the Venezuela fallout. We'll talk about Minnesota, don't you know? And we'll also talk about some Maha wins as well.
USS Stan Mendes here. Been telling you for a long time about United Structural Systems. They're experts in waterproofing, concrete leveling, and yes, foundation repair. This is a great company. They have helped me several times with my home, and that is why I proudly endorse United Structural Systems. Now, they're not going to charge you for any unnecessary repairs, and you won't pay a dime until the work is done and you are a satisfied customer. And yes, they can help you with basement and crawl space waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, and foundation repair. United Structural Systems, we guarantee our best. Call USS 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, USSTN.com.